I welcome you warmly to this event. Today marks more than just a gathering of business leaders, policymakers, and investors. We celebrate a thriving partnership between the UK and Ghana. Trade stands as an important cornerstone of our relationship. And today, I hope that by the end of this event, we would have even stronger partnerships. We would have new agreements and a brighter road ahead for our partnership. To begin, I would share a few house rules. The washrooms are outside. Once you step out, turn left down the corridor. At the end of the corridor, you'll see the signage for the gents and the ladies. If you are looking for a Wi-Fi connection, if you look at the pillars, you would see a circle with Wi-Fi and chamber written on it. Kindly review that for details for today's Wi-Fi password for the program. Today we are privileged to have with us His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa for the UK Department for Business and Trade, and the Presidential Advisor on the 24-Hour Economy and Accelerated Export Development Program. 24-Hour Secretariat team, you are also welcome. The team from the British High Commission in Accra, you are also welcome. A warm welcome to other government agencies attending as well. A number of companies have joined us today from the UK. You are on the DMA Investment Trade Mission. I'd like to also welcome you very warmly to Accra. For some of you, this is your first time. For others, it is not. I hope you have a wonderful experience. To officially open our event, I am delighted to invite His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa, Mr. John Humphrey, to deliver his opening remarks. With a round of applause, let's welcome him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joanne, and good morning, everybody. Distinguished guests, esteemed business leaders, and partners. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this UK-Ghana Investment Forum, held as part of the DMA Trade Mission. And I'm delighted to be back in Accra again. It's actually been a little bit cooler than I think it was the last time around, although the rain this morning managed to get us wet, didn't it, as we got into and out of the car. It's always a great pleasure to be back here. There's such a strong relationship between the UK and Ghana, and I think this forum is timely and a strategic platform to explore how UK business can align with Ghana's bold and forward-looking 24-hour economy program and the initiative that reflects Ghana's ambition to unlock productivity, create jobs, and drive inclusive growth by enabling round-the-clock economic activity across key sectors. And I think for both the UK government and for the Ghana government, driving growth, driving productivity, creating trade and investment opportunities, creating the climate for business is really what creates prosperity. And we see tremendous opportunity in this vision. Our companies bring world-class expertise in infrastructure, logistics, energy, digital technology, agribusiness, and financial services, all of which are critical enablers for that thriving 24-hour economy that I just talked about. We're here to listen and to learn, and most of all, to collaborate. And I'm pleased to see so many UK companies here already making a great impact in Ghana, creating jobs, exchanging knowledge. In agriculture, we celebrate the investment of Blue Skies, in innovation of Demeter's fertilizer. In infrastructure, we see the world-class quality delivered by QGMI and Contracts UK. And through the UK-Ghana Trade Partnership Agreement, we'll see and seek more opportunities to enhance trade, increase exports in both directions, and ensure that our businesses are really taking full advantage of the agreement and the opportunities that it creates. As a key engine of growth for both our economies, we're also working to maximize the two-way trade in services. And it's interesting to see that our trade at the moment is around 1.6 billion and really very evenly balanced between UK exports to Ghana and Ghanaian exports to the UK. And in fact, Ghana runs a small trade surplus with the UK. And it feels to me like that's a very positive relationship that's built on a sort of mutual interest. And it's also interesting to see that trade is becoming increasingly diversified. And in fact, Some 60% of the UK's total trade across the whole of Africa is now services. So we can really see as our economy develops and moves that trade is shifting as well. And as the UK's Department for Business and Trade, we're here to support that, to try and enable that. We don't do business, but we really can help to foster the partnerships that not only drive commercial opportunity, but also have a social impact, and most important, are sustainable for the future. And that, for me, is the real promise of commercial trade and investment, that it's sustainable for the future, it has mutual self-interest, and it continues and it grows as time goes on. So this forum is not just about identifying opportunities, it's about building long-term relationships. It's about co-creating solutions together that respond to Ghana's development needs while leveraging UK innovation and investment and creating prosperity for both our great countries. So I look forward to the discussions ahead today and to the partnerships, more importantly, to the partnerships that will come out of today. And that's really what it's about. It's what happens subsequently. Together we can turn ambition into action and opportunity into shared prosperity. So please make the most of this time together, make the most of the opportunity to meet, to network, to connect. You never know where that connection goes. And hopefully when we come back in a year's time, we'll not only be kicking off an event, but also celebrating the success that have come from this year's events as well. So thank you very much. Enjoy the day.
Thank you very much. Indeed, this is a timely, strategic event, and we are here to listen, learn, and collaborate to build relationships and co-create sustainable solutions for mutual benefits. Up next, please help me welcome Mr. Augustus Tano, the Presidential Advisor on the 24-Hour Economy and Accelerated Export Development Program, to deliver his opening remarks.
Good morning, everybody. His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa, Mr. John Humphrey, His Excellency the High Commissioner of the UK to Ghana, Mr. Christian Rogg, representative of the Honourable Minister for Trade and Agribusiness, representatives of the United Kingdom Government and the Department for Business and Trade, leaders of the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, captains of industry, development partners, and esteemed participants. Good morning once again. On behalf of the Government of Ghana and the 24-Hour Economy Secretariat, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the UK-Ghana Trade and Investment Forum. I also take this opportunity to extend a special welcome to the new UK High Commissioner to Ghana, Dr. Rogg. This gathering is more than a forum. It is a bridge that connects the aspirations of Ghana with the strengths of the United Kingdom. And it sets the stage for partnerships that will drive shared prosperity. From infrastructure and finance to energy, manufacturing, agriculture, and services, UK companies have been long-standing partners in our growth story. And today we celebrate those contributions whilst we also look to a very promising future. Ghana stands at an important juncture in our economic journey. Our 24-Hour Economy initiative is designed to unlock the full potential of our productive sectors: agriculture, manufacturing, agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, machinery and technology, and textiles and garments. And we do this by creating a round-the-clock integrated economy that is competitive, resilient, and export-oriented. It is a transformational vision to generate jobs, scale up industries, and position Ghana as West Africa's industrial hub for regional, continental, and global trade. Later in the program, there will be a dedicated presentation on the 24-hour economy, where UK companies will be able to gain a deeper understanding of its design, the progress made so far, and the opportunities it creates across key sectors and value chains. The breakout sessions will also feature project pitches, providing a practical window into investor-ready initiatives and pathways for collaboration. The UK has long been a trusted partner in Ghana's development. with frameworks such as the UK-Ghana Trade Partnership Agreement, the Jobs and Economic Transformation Program, and now through this forum, we are strengthening our collaboration in ways that bring lasting value to both sides. This provides a practical platform for UK and Ghanaian businesses to co-create opportunities and share expertise in specific sectors, projects, and the value chains that I earlier mentioned under the 24-hour economy program and sub-programs, some of which will be presented in the investor pitches during the breakout sessions. Sorry. I encourage you, our partners from the UK, the private sector, to see Ghana not only as a market, but as an investment gateway to Africa, supported by stable institutions, growing infrastructure, and a bold private sector-led agenda for industrialization and exports. To repeat His Excellency John Mahama's words about the 24-hour economy, the government role in this transformational endeavor is to facilitate and not to dominate. The government's role in this transformational agenda is to facilitate and not dominate, unquote. Together, we can generate tangible outcomes, joint ventures, new supply chains, technology transfer, and jobs for our people. This forum is about action, securing commitments, identifying barriers, and working jointly to resolve them, and ensuring that partnerships we begin here translate into measurable results in the months ahead. I would like to thank UKGCC, FCDO, JET, BII, UK Department for Business and Trade, DMA Invest, and last but not the least, TBI, who have been very strong and constructive partners in the very short journey that the 24-hour economy program has traveled so far. As you know, the journey to transform Ghana's economy through the 24-hour plus program is a long and difficult one, made even more achievable with the support of the entire British contingent working in Ghana. Thank you once again. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the UK-Ghana Trade and Investment Forum is a call to boldness, to innovation, and to long-term collaboration. Let us seize this opportunity to deepen commercial ties, open new frontiers for trade, and build sustainable prosperity for both our nations in an increasingly turbulent world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Today we are going to be bold and we are going to innovate for a sustainable, prosperous partnership. Thank you very much, Mr. Tano. Up next, we move to our keynote presentation. We've heard a lot about the 24-hour economy policy, but this is an opportunity to have the detail that we need. This is a time where we would have the Secretariat present to us fine detail on the opportunities that exist. And this is a time where you must think, where do I fit in all of this? So help me welcome Dr. Ishmael Nidodu from the 24-hour Secretariat to deliver this presentation.
Thank you very much, Joe. Mr. John Humphrey, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner of Africa, Mr. Guzitano, Presidential Advisor on 24-hour Economy and Accelerated Export Development Program, Mr. Tretre Poku, the Coordinator of the 24-hour Economy Secretariat, participants and distinguished guests from the UK, and most of our partners that are gathered here. I'm going to speak to you about the 24-hour economy. And I'll try and give you a bit of an overview of what the program is, the investor opportunities that exist. And I hope I'll be able to compel all of you to make a decision to close deals by noon today. That's my objective. So please help me to fulfill that, otherwise I'm fired. My boss is here. So Ghana's economy is actually doing quite well. Today we are experiencing a growth of about 5.1%. which is higher than the 4.3% average of West Africa. So naturally, the inclination would be that, well, this is a positive growth trajectory, and therefore we should be happy about that. But actually what is happening is that inherently, as the GDP had moved from 10.6 billion in the last 2 decades to almost 80 billion in continuing, for every dollar addition to the GDP, in 1990s, we're actually experiencing about 70 people getting jobs. Whereas today, for every $100 that is added to what we experience at 5.1%, we are getting less than 2 jobs, less than 20 jobs, I think. So the economy is actually, though the money is increasing in terms of GDP, we are getting about 300 to 400,000 young people not being able to get jobs, or they're unemployed or unemployed, or they don't have skills. So the economy is not providing the jobs that we need. And the economic growth is also induced by what we see as large imports, probably 60-70% of our essential goods and services, which means that we still not be able to get the jobs, to the extent that the imports are also shaping the nutrition of Ghanaian people. So you have about $350 million per year of imports of offals and gallbladders of intestines of animals. So Ghana is moving by WFP standard and FAO into what you call nutritional food insecurity. So it's not just what we eat, but actually we don't have the nutrition. So when you look at such an economy that we inherited, and we're reflecting on a 24-hour economy program, the 24-hour economy therefore tries to address this deformity in this economy to make sure that we construct a new economy that is productive, that is industrializing, is giving us the jobs that we need, and is able to get Ghanaians to benefit from it. And therefore, the vision of 24-hour economy, and as I quote from His Excellency the President, that it's not just a policy that we're professing to Ghanaians, but it's a catalyst for industrialization, export promotion, and job creation. And it is an economy that ensures that there's inclusivity. So it should work for everybody, every hour of the time. And this is the vision that we have with the 24-hour economy. And I'm going to look at how do we then, in spite of the challenges that we have, how do we turn the challenges into opportunities and then unlock the opportunities into investable initiatives that all of you can be able to see. So as a secretariat, what we try to become is to become a driving force that mobilizes the private sector in a very dramatic and compelling way to unlock new opportunities that is inherent in the Ghanaian economy, to ensure that these opportunities then will translate into wealth creation for Ghanaian citizens and also mutual benefits to partners that we engage in doing this. And therefore, I'm welcoming all of you as I go through this journey with you to really identify this. Now, what we offer, what the 24-hour economy program therefore offer, we offer bankable projects which are ready for investment. You know, and some of the things that investments will need to know is land availability and security, ensuring that when you come in as an investor, land, you have a non-contentious land that is available for you to put your investment on. At the same time, we're ensuring that most of through what we call the participatory land access model, we'll be able to create a land that provides you the continuous security that you'll be able to need. The second is to de-risk your investment by ensuring that there's a bulk infrastructure in place for you. Your energy, your water, and other infrastructure resources that you need that could de-risk your investment for you. We also provide an integrated project design. We co-create the investment with you. Even though we have the strategic projects that we have, if we welcome you into that investment, we co-create the value of that strategic process with you. And one of the things that is very defining about this is that from policy through investment, production, and offtake, we co-create with all of you to make sure that we have the right policy enabling framework for you to be able to invest. We also ensure that there is high-level government support to make you succeed as an investor. So when you come in, we cut the red tapes for you, we shepherd your investment, and we make sure that you structure something that has high rate of return that will be good for you. At the same time, Ghana has a peculiar geolocation advantage. If you look at where geolocationally where we are, our reach to West Africa market, to the North Africa market, and also to Europe, and so on, that we're able to work with you to leverage Ghana's goodwill and its ability to pull the Sahelian markets and some West African markets to you so that you have an economy of scale. Therefore, investing in Ghana is actually not just a win-win situation, but for the investor, you make more out of your money than you get from any other place. And the 24-hour economy is structured around the key productive sectors that we have. So there is agriculture sector, there's building and infrastructure, machinery and technology, information technology, there is the creative arts, there is also supply chain and market logistics and so on. So the key productive economy that we do have, whether in pharmacy, in garments and textiles, pharmaceuticals and so on, we work with you through an implementation structure that look at the following, ensuring that we can de-risk your investment through some grant financing that we will work towards, and the government also has a skin in the game in that grant financing, and also working with the DFIs and others so that you have the type of financial architecture that can be good for you, whether blend, debt, equity, and so on. At the same time, we have created, to reference your investment, we do have in our industrial parks special purpose vehicles for industrial parks, which is underwritten by some of the bulk investment that we do have to get a captive energy, the land, and so on that I explained. Then in agroecological parks where we produce the basis for production of agribusiness. And then we also have a Water Lake Transport corridor program that I will share, and we also create an SPV for them, that place. So our implementation structure is such that as an investor, when you come in, it's very clear where your money is and how we can ring-fence your money, and we work with Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund that will be able to work with us. They take the concessions, and they manage the concession, you invest in an SPV. So as your investment is ring-fenced, you can know the use of proceeds, and you can calculate your rate of return, and we ensure that you make the best out of investment. So this is how we structure ourselves in terms of implementation. And I've already explained the financial architecture. Both, we ensure that there is a way to also de-risk your investment, looking at pension funds and insurance firms to de-risk the investment. And then we also have infrastructure credit that helps to de-risk the investment. With all the SPVs that we establish with GIF, we do have also some guarantees from Ghana Exim Bank, DBG, and Venture Capital that also work to de-risk the investment that you do have. In other words, what we try to do is that you don't just bring your money and be afraid. You come in and we work with you for more benefits, and we ensure that you actually succeed, because when you succeed, Ghana succeeds. And this is the way we have organized ourselves to de-risk the investment. So what is the point of entry for the investments? Now, one of the biggest programs that we do have is called Grow 24, and Grow 24 has to do with agribusiness. And agribusiness is a big deal. African Development Bank estimated that by 2030, the market economy for agricultural products will be about 1.3 trillion in West Africa alone. Now, if you look at our food import bill in Ghana, it's almost 3.5 billion and so on. So we aim to really address this particular food security issue, not just to grow for Ghana, but also to grow for West Africa and to produce the quality products that they need. So a number of entry points for investors in that. You can have, so we're looking at anchor investors, large-scale investors that will come in to invest in some of our value chain corridors. And so you can be an anchor investor in our value chain corridors, where by anchor we mean you are the principal investor in a particular growth corridor, say cassava, but you do also have cooperatives that we mobilize and structure to provide raw material aggregation for you, and then you can be able to take it up and process. You also can become a transport and logistic investor. There's a massive need for transport and logistics to move goods and services up and north, west, and east and south of the country, but also to connect to our regional countries as well in West Africa. So there is that opportunity to really invest in this transport and logistics, whether you're looking at ship, because I mean we have to wait more than 30 days or 40 days in order for ship to arrive into our port to cart goods to West Africa, other countries. Now there's a huge opportunity there. So whether you invest in trade, air cargo, and so on, there's also operating the logistics. You also have the opportunity to invest in technology, as the machinery and equipment for agriculture. You can also invest in construction of our ports, our inland ports, and Tamale cargo airports, and so on. So, and all these investments, also, you can also simply invest in our SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle, that is tailored towards the various programs, strategic projects that we intend to do. I'm going to show you the strategic projects where the investor opportunities are. This is a summary of the projects, and I'm going to go through one by one. Now, our first one, which I welcome all of you to actually express appetite for, is a Volta Economic Corridor. And the Volta Economic Corridor is a flagship initiative to transform the river basin into an integrated national and regional special economic corridor. The Volta Basin actually has relations to Benin, to Togo, to Burkina Faso, to some extent Cote d'Ivoire. And therefore, if you are to invest in this, you have huge economies of scale covering about 5 countries that has huge market economy for you to invest in. And this is our flagship. As you can see, within the Volta Economic Corridor program, we are able to create about 2 million hectares of arable land. That is principally very spans to accommodate any form of large-scale agricultural expansion. In that, we are looking at ecological parks that have several corridors for cereal, corridors for cereal, for cassava, and so on, which I'll explain. So this is a great opportunity to really invest in this particular economic corridor that we are opening. The opportunities there is whether you invest in the agroecological parks itself to be an anchor farmer that will produce to scale and get industrial parks to actually process. At the same time, you can also invest in industrial parks that is integrated within. There's also inland water transport and logistics that will ensure that you can cart goods up and north and south and east and west of the using the Volta Lake as the transport corridor. Probably about 60% of major agricultural produce are in the north, and bringing them to the south will become quite uncompetitive and very expensive by roads. But with the Volta Lake as the transport corridor, it opens up all these opportunities for us so that you'll be able to cut the goods. There's about 4 inland ports that needs to be established. There's a warehouse that needs to be established. There's also cold chain parks and so on that are there for opportunities that you can think about. So we do have industrialization and value addition park, and then we also have being able to move an economic of scale to the Sahel and ECOWAS countries as well in terms of opportunities. So the Volta Economic Corridor provides tremendous opportunities for investment. And I've already explained this, but let me. So this is what it looks in real life, port and logistics here. So what are the investor opportunities in transport and logistics? The Volta Lake is 1 kilometer navigable. The freight potential there is more than 5 to 8 million tons. And you can actually use it for carting not just agricultural products, but also solid and liquid products as well. There are a number of industries that are also going to spring up in the northern region, and they are extracting gold. There's some gold mine that just opened up there. And the northern region has tremendous opportunities for strategic minerals as well. So if you invest in this, we are looking at great market. What is very interesting here is the global market access that the transport and logistics opportunity offers you, where you can actually move goods and services, vegetable production, so on, to Southern Europe and East or Southern Africa, and using that corridor as a gateway if you were to invest in logistics. Then one of the special projects that we have is the Tamale Air Cargo Hub. And it has the longest runway, 3.9 kilometers runway. And 60% of Ghana's agricultural products are actually from the north. And so we are looking at establishing Tamale Air Cargo Hub to be able to supply, export, become the cargo export to Europe. And this investment opportunity has the potential to capture over $200 million per annum of revenue. And so you may have to think about this very, very investment opportunity. There's an opportunity to look at cold chain hubs and so on. Now, we are also going to look at how we distribute our pharmaceutical products. This can be a great opportunity to do that very, very efficiently, right? So why do you invest in agro-industrial parks where we do the production? Number one, we have a massive import gap of food, more than 3 billion annually. Our strong production base, over 70% of Ghana farmers are already in stable crops. We also have export advantage through the African Continental Free Trade Area. And we are investing in bulk infrastructure to provide a backbone for your investment. And therefore, your investment is the risk, the market is there, and you have a greatest opportunity for return of investment. So this is why we believe that investing in agro-industrial parks will be good. And as you know, most of our food systems, a lot of the variety of the foods that you can produce, you can actually have it from this particular side of the country, from the middle to the north. And therefore, you can expand huge opportunities there in terms of investment. We have a cassava corridor, which is on the Volta Economic Corridor line. And the cassava corridor, we are looking at, exporting to ethanol production and cassava flour and so on that you can actually export outside and to link into the value chain as well. So if you look at some of the import advantages that you can actually substitute, 3.7 million worth of acyclic alcohols, with South Africa and Netherlands supplying 50% of that. So that is already a market that is existing that you can tap into. And the production strength could be probably 26.5 million metric tons of cassava. And we know that if you look at the Chinese market and their request for cassava flour, they need probably 100 million hectares of million tons of cassava flour per annum. And so there's a ready market to be able to produce for them. And you can do this. We already have identified key areas on the Volta Economic Corridor where we have sorted the land out. We have put we shall put bulk infrastructure, and you can come in and really investing in the Karachi and the Dunbar areas. That will leverage also the Volta Lake transport, making the logistics very cheap and competitive for you. We also have the sugarcane industrial corridor. We import about 200 million worth of sugar annually, and 80%, then this is supposed to meet about 80% of our domestic demand. So that is also a ready market for you if you were to invest in sugarcane. And the other point is that there's duty-free access to ECOWAS and EU under the UPA for ethanol and sugar products. So when you invest in sugarcane and sugar processing, you also have a very high return of investment. Then the oil seals corridor that we do have. The poultry sector consumes 5 million metric tons of maize and soy feed annually, with imports meeting less than 30%, about 30% of demand. Now, Ghana consumed about 200 million birds. So the poultry sector is actually very ripe. And so if we were to invest in oil seeds for the manufacturing of poultry feed alone, you are tapping into a very huge market. And there are arable lands that we have identified that are very important for and a potential for production of oil seeds. And the market growth is projected to be about 6 billion by 2030. So this is a huge investment opportunity as well. Then integrated rice corridor. As you know, Ghana's import bill exceeds 1.2 billion of rice. So if you went to invest in the rice corridor, you are talking about tapping into a ready market of 1.2 billion. Again, based on our land access model and the bulk infrastructure we have done we'll do to de-risk investment, we have identified key areas where you actually can produce the rice and produce in quality and in quantity to meet demand. Beyond Ghana alone, we need about 1.1 million tons of rice. And it's projected to be about 35% of that by 2035 when our population is also increasing. So there's a huge potential for investment in rice value chain here. Then one of the things that we haven't done well is when you look at our marine ecosystem, we have about 326 species, and then in the inland ecosystem, it's about 220 species. In the marine side, we have not been able to domesticate any of them. So bringing technology to domesticate some of the marine species. And fish forms about 70% of our protein intake. So there's a huge opportunity to be the first company that can actually domesticate one of our marine species. And in the inland species, we already domesticated only two, the tilapia and the catfish. But there's a potential for domesticating about 221 different species that we need. And mind you, when you were to invest in aquaculture, the market is probably 100% of whatever you produce, because it's really what we depend on. So looking at the investment in the blue economy is also very important. I've explained about the poultry, but one of the things that is important is that we spend about $350 million annually for poultry imports. And a lot of the challenges we do have is the feed, the poultry feed. And the poultry feed market is huge in West Africa too, because we don't have that many players that are actually producing poultry feed to feed, chicken feed to actually feed the poultry sector. We do have, for example, KFC, that has, offered 100% offtake of Ghanaian markets poultry. We are able to produce less than 30% of what KFC needs. Now, but you look at 4.25 million population, with a market economy of over 1.3 trillion. This is a no-brainer, and because everybody is chicken. And Ghana's chicken intake is 200 million, which is, I understand, is about 10 bears per capita or so. So there's a huge market for the poultry. Now, let me turn to light manufacturing. We believe that there's a lot of opportunities in the manufacturing sector. If you take the pharmaceutical sector, for example, Ghana, West Africa is only able to produce 3% of what we need. And the estimate of the market economy for that is about $22.7 billion within West Africa because of the nature of illnesses and diseases that is increasing because of our population and so on. And so if you were to invest in the pharmaceutical sector, there's a lot of money you're going to make. So we're looking at how do we help you to invest in some of these sectors to contribute to taking the market for pharmaceutical, textiles, machinery, and beverages. And for us to do that, we believe that one of the things that industry will need is they will need land. They will not to be able to plug and play. They will need captive energy. They also need strategic locations. And they need certain advantages, that in terms of economies of scale. We have worked out all these things and provided the land that you need, the captive energy that you will need, the bulk infrastructure that will enable you to be successful, the incentives that you need in order to be able to plug and play, and to use Ghana as the manufacturing hub. We understand that there's a lot of traffic flows from Vietnam to Ghana to look at how we can build a manufacturing hub here. And you should be one of the first people to really think about doing that. So this is why we have organized one of our offer to you into an industrial parks and a clusters to ensure that all the industrial players will be found in one place to enable integrated value chain and to minimize your competition and so on. So what are the opportunities there? We have on offer what we call the Legon Pharmaceutical Innovation Park. Africa produces only 1% of the vaccines, and the AU target is that we should be able to produce 60% of our vaccine by 2040. So there's a massive scale-up opportunity here. And these opportunities is on offer today. And we'll be very happy to have those who are interested in having this conversation with us. Because the opportunities there, is that you'll be able to tap into the wide variety of pharmaceutical products that form over $22 billion of import into West Africa annually. And even if you are able to produce 10% of them, capture 10% of that market, it's about $2.2 billion annually, and you can scale up. So the pharmaceutical innovation park is also very important. One of the reasons that this is also very uniquely important for you as an investor is that once you invest in this, you'll be part of the history of churning out talents and skills within West Africa that is able to deal with APIs, and antimalarials, ARVs, vaccines as well. And that will be a very long-lasting investment opportunities for you. So we are looking at strategic partners, particularly for these, who can work with us in the long haul to grow the market. The second is revitalizing our textile and garment industry. We understood that during independence, one of the precious gifts that we got from the UK was the English wax, to the extent that the patent for the English wax is really located in Ghana, that English wax is synonymous with the name of Ghana. And we thank the UK very much for that. But today, we are not producing the English wax. Other countries are actually using digital technology to produce these things. We have 100 million yards of domestic intake for our textiles, and we're able to manufacture less than 15%. So there's a massive scale-up opportunity just for Ghana's market alone. The rest are coming from the obvious places of China. But bringing technology and investment, you'll be able to transform the Akosombo Japan textile cluster so that we become the hub that is producing all the textiles and the garments that we need within West Africa. We do have huge opportunities there. There's a competitive workforce. There are people that really know how. It is just a matter of investment in the type of technology to move it from screen to digital printing. There's a huge opportunity for plug and play here. And if you are able to get into this will be a massive, massive opportunities. It's estimated within local market, the import is almost $1.2 billion. Now, I know that Ghana's, the Kente Star fabric is really liked by most West African countries. And so you are sure that you will never go wrong when you invest in this. I also want to welcome you to one of our light industrial parks that is going up in the northern region. And this has to do with the North Shore Light Industrial Park, where you have some of the most industrialable products that are there. The soy, the rice, the maize, the shea butter, the cashew, sweet potatoes, and so on. And you can also link to the Volta Lake Transport, and that will provide the cargo opportunities for you. The Tamale Air Cargo Port will be able to become useful as a logistic hub for you. Now, this is a very, very important area to invest in. Because when you look at the cosmetic import alone is about $670 million of all types of cosmetic import. Now, if you invest in the value chain, looking at the share, for example, or you look at the palm oil value chain, there's a huge opportunity for you to tap into the L'Oreals and the body shops and so on. Then also looking at maize into the poultry feed, some cereals that you produce, the Nestle's and the Kashams and those people. So we do have huge opportunity to integrate some of the major industrial setups in the UK with agro-processing industrial setups here in Ghana from the northern region to be able to feed your industry. If you were in Sainsbury, for example, and we know some of the products that you want to have, you'll be able to develop a line of manufacturing here. And using the Tamale cargo hub, it will be able to lift the goods to you very competitively. So investing in the industrial, North Shore Light Industrial Park is important. Now, we're also going to structure the North Shore into some type of made in Ghana production hub. As you know, most of our products have a very high nutritional quality. And the derivative products that you can make out of it is incredible. On Saturday, I was with HPW. It's a dry fruit company. And out of five fruits, they're able to produce 168 different varieties of products, from vinegar to the dried fruit itself, to alcohol, to some cosmetic products and so on. So if you focus on the value chain of the share, of the cashew and so on, and you invest in industrial setup to extract variety of products from this, the North Shore area becomes very important for you. There's a huge opportunity to minimize your energy by creating captive energy using our solar and other renewable energy forms. So I welcome all of you to really consider this particular place as well. Then, one of the things that makes industry feasible is ability to have the machines and the spare parts of the machines, and also have a workforce that will be able to manipulate the machines and use them. We are setting up a Kumasi Machinery and Technology Service Center linked to the university. The Kumasi magazine is seen to be one of the largest informal industrial area. They manufacture all types of machines, including crankshafts for cars and so on. Now, formalizing this into a major industrial setup is a wonderful opportunity. And so we're looking at people in the automotive industry, the electric vehicles, and so on. This is an opportunity to really look. How do you then participate in something like this to develop a very bespoke and unique industrial setup that is resident in West Africa and can go not just from Ghana, but across the region, and can feed through the African Continental Free Trade Area into Africa. In other words, how can we stretch our imagination to partner a Kumasi Technology Machine Center to produce the type of industrial machines that are very contextualized, bespoke for Africa, to be able to use in our industrial setup to spin the growth of our industry. So, we believe that some of these key areas that I've shared with you provides an ample opportunity to really consider using the realm of the 24-hour economy as your basis. What we offer you is one integrated investment platform to make sure that you have all that it takes to succeed. We integrate the platform, we get you to set up, we shepherd your investment, we help you to look at the different areas where you want to invest. We partner with you to be able to close the deal. And we structure all our investment to be anchored in policy so that you can see the longevity of that investment. That this is something that government needs. This is something that has government power backing. We also ensure that there is market for you and work with you to generate the market. And you can see the market and do your empirics before you make that investment decision. We also address some of the critical issues that makes your investment risky. For example, contentious land. We deal with it very, very early in the game. So you know where you're going to plug in, where you're going to site your investment. You will see, you have the opportunity to engage with the landowners and even as equity in your investment. This will help you to address the social component of your investment. We also ensure that your investment is such that, we also ensure that the investment is such that it meets some of the environmental and social requirements that you are interested in. The ESG requirement is very much taken into consideration. And we provide you, work with you for the market. And one of the things that we do with you is to make sure that there is bankability in your investment, and the rate of returns is very high. So we have already explained the different types of investment opportunities and where you can participate. I've explained these. Now, one of the things that you also want to look at, and I know that we're in the era of climate action, it's important for us to integrate the other elements of climate impact investments and so on. We need that. So we work with you to look at your investment, manage your financial engineering appropriate to your need. So if you want to come in as a debt investor, there's opportunity for you. If you want to do syndication, there's opportunity for you. If you want to come in as an equity investor, there's opportunity for you. And if you want to come in as an investor that actually will capitalize on the goods, expand market, be the distributor for those products as well, there's an opportunity for you. We also ensure that we guarantee your investment by de-risking it in different types of insurance schemes that we are put together, working with the pension funds, working with international financial institutions, and so on. So we have a whole insurance package for your investment to invest, to ensure, not just the product, but also your investment. And we guarantee a domestic offtake market for you. If you were to invest in the food sector, there's a guaranteed of $3 billion of offtake market already. And this can come in the form of, distribution centers, Ghanaians participating in your goods, and also some government offtakes through their school feeding program. We also ensure that all of our investors are climate smart. So the reason we have an agroecological park is to ensure that when we produce our farm produce, they meet environmental and social concern. Within a volatile economic basin, there's a great opportunity for you as an investor to structure your investment in such a way that you can capture, through your life cycle of investment, your carbon opportunities, that you can work with us to be able to also, get that in terms of financing to you. So we make our investment to capture all types of green financing schemes, SDG bonds, carbon financing, green climate financing, and so on. And for some of you whose the source of your funds or for investment requires that you demonstrate ESG compliance, we'll be able to do that as well. And right from the beginning, we'll do an analysis to look at the different high conservation value areas that we do have in the water basin, so that when you set up your rice corridor or you are part of all those corridors would have taken into consideration some of the EU regulations and some of the regulations on environmental impact, so that your investment is safe. It can have a unique selling point in Europe. So what are some of the bankable models we use? Like I said, you can participate in a special purpose vehicle, either as an equity or debt. You can move in as an enterprise to become an anchor farmer or a tenant or a co-laborer. You can also go into joint ventures in some of the industrial parks or agroecological parks. And you can also invest particularly in services and logistics. They operate their fleets, cold chains, air cargo, warehouse utilities, digital logistics, and so on. So there's a wide range of menu that you can choose. Once you make up your mind, the 24-hour economy team will sit with you to make sure that we can shepherd your investment very well, including breaking some of the red tapes that you need to have. Now, one of the things that I believe that investors are very much interested in is incentives. So what are the incentives? Why should I come here? We have 25% rebate for 2-shift operations, because of the 24-hour working around the clock. And if you are 2-shift, you have 25% rebate, 50% rebate for 3 shifts. And so that this can maximize your tax returns. We also have 3 to 6% rebates for firm sourcing local inputs. So that's also additional. And then there's also geographic incentives when you move out of Accra to some of those regions beyond Accra. There's also 5% CIT. Then we have up to 30% infrastructure credit for park developers and 10% green energy rebates for renewables. And we are looking at building in some carbon credit for monetization, which we can share with you as well. So these are a wide range of incentives that we have. I just want to say that in November, the full plethora of incentives that will be available will be announced in the budget. So we are working on the details of that, and you will have all of that. So having that to be announced makes it also our skin in the game, telling you we are very serious in what we are asking you to do. So there's a huge incentives in corporate taxes and so on that you can look at, tax rebates that we have identified here. So these incentives ensures that you can maximize your returns from investment. So with these, I would just like to end by saying, look, we are here to nurture a strategic partnership with you. We are here to support you, to identify or make an agreement of where you want to invest. And I believe that in the afternoon, we're going to have a breakout sessions where you can have the time to go deeply into various investment opportunities that I've highlighted. And our desire is that, to the extent possible, we'll be able to make some decisions and close some deals before we leave here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please don't leave the podium. We're going to have 5 minutes of questions. Any questions in the room, Steve?
Thank you. My name is Stephen Gray, represent UK Export Finance. Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. A couple of questions in the policy space. What is the timeline for the change on the new GIPC Act that we've all been eagerly waiting for some years? And secondly, in terms of your comments about bringing on shore some of the production in textiles and poultry space, what is the policy position evolving in terms of protection from dumping from other nations in the Ghanaian markets? Thank you.
I believe that because it will also be help to answer some of the questions. I'll leave the difficult questions for him.
Thank you. The GPIC law is ready, and I believe it will be passed in the next session of Parliament, together with the 24-hour authority law. As you know, 24 hours has been converted to an authority. With regard to the protections for dumping, there are, of course, several layers of action that government must take, and is taking. One is to reform the customs administration so that we remove this persistent undervaluation and avenues for non-tax payment through transit and bonded warehouse systems that really basically are designed to avoid duty payments and therefore bring in finished goods that are much cheaper than what are being produced in Ghana. So that's one. And that is being taken at the highest level. You know, we have what we call the Accelerated Export Development Committee that is chaired by the President himself. And customs and the ports are part of that arrangement. And we've seen signs that that is beginning to happen. The second also is just the integration of the data required to administer this anti-dumping laws. And that means that the ICAMS, the Integrated Customs Management System, has to have more integrated data originating from the banks all the way to the import point of arrival on the CIF basis. So that is being done as well. Because you have the extraordinary situation where somebody will apply for a import license or what they call IDF, import declaration form, get the bank to transfer based on an invoice where the unit cost is, say, $10. When it arrives in Tema, it's cleared for $2 because the bank and the bank's processes and transactions are not basically reflected in the ICAMS. And so the customs officer has no line of sight as to what happened in the origination of the transaction. So these are some of the things we're doing. There's also consideration for those areas that are picking up speedily in terms of internal production to satisfy the local market as well as export, to consider import quota systems, particularly for poultry, tomato, all the troublesome areas, textiles, as I'm sure you know all of them. But we're doing this carefully because we have to calibrate it so we don't violate the WTO requirements and sanctions, you know, and also our own trade partnership agreements with the UK and with the EU. But that is being done, and it's being done scientifically and with purpose, so that we are able then to protect these industries and the investments that you make to achieve the 200 or 378 million birds and the processing of those birds into products that allow us to cut our import bill of poultry from $391 million to much lower levels and provide a market domestically as well as export within the sub-region. So there are a lot of things happening, and I believe that by the course of next year with the reforms and everything else, with the adoption of whatever quota systems we are able to achieve without violating our trade agreements, you should see the protection of these key textiles, tomato paste, poultry, and so on and so forth in a way that allows you to benefit from your investment and not just be abused by corrupt people at the port or abused by corrupt traders or forwarding agents. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And just to add also that we're working also, there's a reflection on the procurement law to strengthen the local content and enforce it. So that's also one of the aspects. The other aspect is working with industry as some of these issues come up to co-create the solutions that will then find itself in policy. And we're doing that with the industry, with the share team, the share industry. We are having a meeting with the cashew industry and the rubber industry as well. So we are working on that very assiduously.
Awesome. Thank you very much. There's time for one more question. So does anyone have a question to ask? Any questions in the room? Going once, going twice, and it's gone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate all the information that you've shared. Let's give him a round of applause. It's time for us to take our coffee break. Now, I know we've heard so much about what the Secretariat is going to be doing to de-risk investments and all the opportunities that exist across the various sectors that were mentioned. Take this time to interact with people in the room, interact with new people, understand where you all fit in, and please reach out to the Secretariat. After lunch, there will be a room set apart for live pitches that the Secretariat would be offering. So if you are interested, please, it's the Axel Room 1. Axel Room 1. Thank you all very much. We'll reconvene at 11. So please keep your eye on your watch as well. When it's time, you'll see me calling out to you at the right time. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for settling down. Next, we turn our focus to one of the most critical drivers of Ghana's development, access to capital. The next panel will explore innovative financing strategies and investment pathways for the sectors powering Ghana's growth. To moderate this panel discussion, it's a pleasure to invite Mr. Stephen Gray, who is the UK Export Finance Rep for West Africa and UKGCC UK-based advisory board member. Stephen is based in Ghana. He's an accomplished senior manager, seasoned in over 30 years of demanding multinational roles, spanning challenging societal and economic environments across Africa and the Middle East. More recently, Stephen has been representing UK Export Finance across West Africa and is responsible for originating a pipeline of new opportunities within the ECOWAS sub-region across a variety of sectors, including mining, real estate, infrastructure, agri-processing, and manufacturing. Mr. Gray has an MBA from Heriot-Watt University and has completed an executive leadership program on oil, gas, and mining governance from the University of Oxford, the Blavatnik School of Government. With a round of applause, shall we welcome Mr. Stephen Gray. Other panelists joining this panel discussion are Mr. Kwabena Asante-Opoku, the Ghana Country Lead, British International Investment. Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Richard Ram Ano, Head, Financial Institutions at Standard Chartered Bank, Ghana, PLC. And a special thank you to StanChart for supporting this event. Mr. Frank Obeng, Head, Business Advisory Service, Ghana Exim Bank. And finally, Mr. Peter Bewa, Chief Investment Officer at Access Pension Trust. Shall we give our panel a round of applause?
Joanne, thank you very much for that introduction. No pressures there. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests. We heard a very fascinating presentation from the 24-hour Secretariat in terms of the opportunities and outlined some of the financing solutions. And I'm really pleased today to be here with the people with the money, the people that will actually catalyze and make the capital flow and these investments be realized. So please do take the opportunity to challenge them with some questions and tap them up for cash after this panel. But we have today representing a variety of representatives, two from public financial institutions, one Ghana Exim, and two from the UK government side, British Investment International, that is the DFI. We also have the commercial banking sector, and another sector that is fascinating is the institutional investors, who really take a long-term view in placing their money to match their long-term liabilities with the long-term returns that investments can offer here. And it's these people and others like them that we need to really drive this growth agenda in Ghana, and not just for the next 4 years, but for many years beyond. We need the sustainability. And as the President articulated in the Investment Forum earlier this year, the plan is for Ghana to be a breakout nation by 2050, and it's the finance that will be the foundations for that to be achieved. Enough from me. Let me ask our panelists just to introduce themselves and give some of their views about access to capital for the sectors, and which sectors really matter to them for their type of capital that they're deploying. And if I can start from the far ends with Access. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. So we at Access obviously looking, to deploy long-term capital into viable sectors in the economy. Some of the areas that we like in the private space include healthcare. We're looking at real estate, various forms of infrastructure, agro-processing, but basically looking at companies that have a good track record with some form of economic moat, be it wide or narrow. The business model should make sense, and we should be able to have an exit plan. At the end of the day, we are in, to on behalf of our pension contributors to be good stewards, and so at the end of the day, we should be able to make a decent return and return those investments to our contributors when they retire. And so our goal is to grow the assets so that our clients and our contributors will be in a good place when they do retire. And so as long as the business makes sense, it has a good business model, and there's an exit plan with good management and a good track record, we're ready to talk to them. But the various sectors that we're currently looking at are what I mentioned, and so we like healthcare, we like agro-processing, real estate, infrastructure, and then those are the main areas we're looking at currently.
Thank you for that. Frank, over to you. And in terms of Ghana Exim, I'm really also interested to hear how you're very much at the center of this 24-hour economy program. We've heard Ghana Exim mentioned a number of times. So it'd be good to hear in terms of, as a policy bank, policy financial institution, where is Ghana Exim heading over the coming years?
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I can't overemphasize the importance of finance when it comes to economic development around the world. And then we talk about finance, talking about affordable finance and sustainable one. At Exim Bank, our mandate is very simple: to spearhead Ghana's export-led growth and industrialization. We have key instruments that we use at the bank to execute this mandate. The first one is we have a credit facility that cuts across board for CAPEX and for working capital for industries, especially in the areas of agro-processing, and then pharmaceuticals, which is key, and we have been key in helping a lot of the pharmaceutical companies in Ghana to be GMP compliant. And then currently we are also focusing on the textiles and garments, and we are also key players when it comes to establishing the industrial parks. The North Shore that was mentioned in the northern region, for example, we made a significant input there. And there's one also on stream that is coming. It's going to happen in the Volta region that we are looking into also investing to create the atmosphere and the environment that business can come in and plug. We also, one of our key instruments is the guarantee bit, where, for example, businesses want to still do business with the commercial banks. Of course, as you said, we're a policy bank, the development bank, and we do not compete with the commercial banks. We provide concessionary facility to complement what the commercial banks do. So sometimes our clients already want to have banks that they are dealing with, and all they need is they don't have the collateral to be able to access their facilities. So we come in to de-risk such facilities to the commercial banks by providing guarantee at both ends as to if, for example, it's maybe the customer has a client outside that he needs to purchase something from on credit, we are able to guarantee that payment will be due. When payment is due, it will be honored if it's not paid. And then also to the bank itself, the commercial bank, we also provide guarantee so they can on-lend facilities to them, among others. So basically, these are the areas of that we are looking at. We're talking about agribusiness, pharmaceuticals, garment and textiles, and of course, CAPEX generally to help in boosting industrialization in the country.
Thank you very much for that. And Richard, the commercial bank.
Yeah, so commercial bank, Standard Chartered Bank, so we provide financial services. When I listened to the presentation on the 24-hour economy, there's absolutely nothing we cannot do. It's actually core to what we do as a commercial bank, right from trade, facilitation, export, facilitating export guarantees and all of that, all the way to project financing, raising capital, setting up SPVs, raising bonds, securitizing flows and all of that to support the kind of growth that is needed in that area. So on a balance, I think we are here for good to support the government's agenda. And I think it's behoves on us all to work together to achieve it. We do work with Ghana Exim or the Exim-like entities to provide credit enhancements as a way of participating in the whole credit creation. And I think we can continue to explore that to move this agenda forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And Kwabena, last but not least, UK government's DFI.
Yeah, thanks very much. Like Steve said, I'm from British International Investments. We were set up by the UK government to invest for impact. We've been investing in Ghana since 1952. We've got a portfolio of over $220 million, and we've invested in things as large as power plants, telecom towers to SMEs. In Ghana, our priority is SME finance, gender finance, and climate finance. And to solve for the issues in SME finance, one of them being the provision of long-term capital, we set up a company called Growth Investment Partners. And over the last 18 months, it's invested anywhere between 500,000 to 5 billion in SMEs, and we've deployed over $20 million in various sectors, be it agro-processing, textiles, business process outsourcing. We recently announced a deal yesterday with Spring & Bolts, which does light manufacturing for vehicles as well. We've also set up a technical assistance program in Ghana to help with project preparation, because we think that that's a very, very key area and a key gap that's missing in source and financing. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Kwabena. Just turning back to Ghana Exim, your core business is providing credit guarantees, providing the credit wrap to give people like Standard Chartered Bank confidence to lend. What is the eligibility requirements that you have as Ghana Exim for any of these investors in the room here? How do they approach me? What do they need to present to you to say, yes, this is viable for our support? Is there a minimum Ghanaian content, or is it just about export potential?
Both. So it has to have an export content, and then also you need a Ghanaian partner. We require that for any foreign entity that approaches us, you should have a Ghanaian partner, at least to the range of around 50%. And then that's basically the qualification you need to do. And of course, the project must be bankable, be able to turn out the jobs that we want as a country. Basically, but the requirement is that you need to have a partner, a Ghanaian partner, in the range of around 50%.
Okay, thank you. Richard, there was a word just mentioned by Frank, bankable. What does that actually mean to you as a bank?
Yeah, bankability is everything. So banks are not just chasing big ideas. We are also looking at ideas that are bankable. We've heard a lot about the 24-hour economy. Bankability is really the viability of it, right? ultimately, there are so many strands to the business opportunities as we saw. But the question is it something that we can develop and have a clear market fit for? Are we able to, maybe beyond Ghana, export such products to the wider region or globally, right? Do we have the right, strong sponsors and governance around these ideas? And most importantly, for a financial institution, we also like to see, yes, the idea, maybe there's a fit, but do you also have a skin in the game, right? In the sense that you're fully committed financially and are able to move this forward in a way that, would come back to settle any outstandings or any obligations, financial obligations that would have. But I think in a nutshell, it's all about having clear visibility of the plan, having the right controls in place, having ready markets, because ultimately we need to have the visibility on the revenue numbers and how that will come in to service the debt, and maybe enough to meet your operating costs, and also enough to give investors in any margin, right? But I think going forward, and also listening to Ani on that, there's also a trend, I don't know if it's global or not, but it's sustainability, ESG overlaying the kind of projects that you are doing, because there's a sense that, that is where the future is going. And for us to have a lot of bankable funds or investors looking at bankable projects, they would like to see how you are impacting on the economy, on the ecology, on social, and also the overall governance aspect of that. So that is very key for commercial banks. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Kwabena, just coming back to you, because obviously you do debt instruments, but also equity instruments. So the same question, what is bankability to you, and what are the common pitfalls and challenges you see with transactions presented to you?
I might end up repeating a lot of what Richard has said, because it's very much in line. But I think for us, the first one would be finding credible sponsors who have the right integrity and have the right governance system and understand the environment in which they are operating. I think that's typically the first thing we look at. Then the next thing we would look at would be, what impact are you trying to deliver with this particular plan? Followed by a lot of what you were talking about. What's the demand economics around it? Is this profitable? Is this sustainable? And thirdly, within your ecosystem, are you ensuring that risk are allocated properly to the people who can actually manage this? And what's the long-term view of this? Is this particular business scalable? Because we are looking for impact. We are looking to crowd in and create more jobs. So those are the 4 or 5 things we typically look at.
Thank you for that. Just going back to access, I hadn't appreciated until I saw these meeting notes. The pension funds in Ghana are sitting on $6.7 billion of capital. Just think of that, $6.7 billion. So you guys are important, but you're in a very regulated environment. How do we mobilize that money? Is there policy developments where asset classes are being created so that you can invest in and diversify? What is the direction of travel for the pension funds?
So you're right when you say we're sitting on huge amount of capital in the economy. However, I'll start off by saying the pension guidelines currently as it exists gives about 70% or more to government securities. And as of end of 2024, the asset allocation across the industry in Ghana was about 73% to government securities alone, 5% to equities, which is private markets, right? Private capital or private businesses. Alternative investments in total was about 20%. So there's not enough room to deploy to other areas in the economy. At Access, we believe, just like most people do, that private sector is the engine of growth. Much as we would like to support government initiatives, a lot of the government projects will not necessarily yield the kind of returns that investors will need to grow the assets, right? And so, first of all, we believe that the pension guidelines should change to allow private markets to thrive, private industry to thrive. I've been proposing that the threshold for government securities should be around 50%, in line with global standards. The allocation to alternative investments, which includes private equity, real estate, infrastructure, hedge funds, what have you, that should be increased, okay? Equities, you should be allowed to do close to 50% if the opportunity is there. I mean, I know capital markets are not that developed at this point, but the other side of the coin is also there's no minimum for these thresholds. And so a lot of the players in the industry are not incentivized to look at other asset classes. They just dump everything in government securities and call it a day because it's, the low-hanging fruit. It's easy. They're just collecting the coupons and not looking for other sources of, investment opportunities. And so the minimums we think should also be increased so that people are forced to not set at zero for certain of these asset classes. The pension guidelines provide for municipal securities. But across the industry, their investment in municipal securities is less than 1%. Okay, so there's a lot of things that need to be done to enhance the other asset classes and also to help decentralize investment projects. So if municipalities are empowered, okay, to go into the capital markets to raise funds to invest in some of these projects, okay, across the world, the US, for instance, a lot of the airport projects, a lot of the hospitals, a lot of the roads, okay, are funds raised by municipalities. They could either be general obligation bonds, which are backed by taxes, or revenue bonds, which are backed by the revenue collected from these facilities. And so you drive on the New Jersey Turnpike, you pay a toll to use it all the way through New York, and that's how they finance these projects. The roads are always maintained, very well maintained, because people will pay. If you take Accra Kumasi Road, for instance, if I personally have to pay 100 cedis each time I use it, so that I can drive to Kumasi in 2 hours like we used to back in the day when I was younger, I would love to do that than take 6 hours to drive on the Kumasi Road, because that project has been sitting there for the last 20 years. It's not being improved, okay? So those are some of the things that we're looking at. But in a nutshell, what I was trying to say is there's not enough room to be able to deploy funds into the productive areas on the economy. And that's why, in spite of the fact that the pension industry is sitting on so much capital that are deployable, there's no incentive, there's no opportunities, and there's no incentive for a lot of the asset managers to do that. And so until those regulations, those guidelines are updated and changed, it's going to be difficult to do that. I know it's been a long answer, but I also want to add that we're also looking at opportunities to invest in small and medium scale companies, as long as they have a decent track record, 3 to 5 years track record with good corporate governance policies in place. Good stewardship is very, very important to us, and an exit plan. We are ready to look into. Actually, so at Access, we've been one of the first to invest in private equity funds here in Ghana. We are supporting them very well because we know that's the future. A lot of the big companies around the world that we admire, started off as small firms in the private markets, and they've grown to become global behemoths that we all enjoy. And so if we're trying to develop and be, catch up with the rest of the world, we need to be able to support innovative companies with good business models that are going to help us, to develop and grow as a country. So those are some of the things we're looking at.
Thank you. So in your response, I hear there's one opportunity for investors to look at in commercializing the Accra-Kumasi Road, make it a 2-hour drive. But I also heard some challenges there, which perhaps for the 24-hour Secretariat to reflect on in terms of the regulatory space. But let me also just turn that challenge to the other members on the panel here. What are the other innovative ways that can be developed in sort of connecting institutional money with commercial bank money, with policy bank support, and also DFIs? Open question. Who would like to tackle that one first?
Yeah, so listening to him is quite instructive and enlightening. And I think the tier 2 and tier 3 that was put in place, in my view, is the best to have happened to our country, Ghana. And as he rightly said, it has developed countries. I mean, South Africa and whatnot. You can talk about that. Now, I think the innovative ways that we can collaborate, it's more like a project finance type financing. So he talked about cash flows, having a line of cash flows, we having BII on our side or UKEF on our side, or having the Ghana Exim. We can kind of do like a blended finance. We had a bond program or a major bond issued in Ghana called the ESLA. That's the Energy Sector Levy Act, which was, export prices that are held into an account. And what we did was, working with the authorities at the time, was to solve the problem of, dealing with legacy debt, which had bedeviled that sector in a way that, the cash flow impact on the fiscal was minimized. So, we structured it in a way where we securitize the cash flows, have an administrator overlaying it and watching the flow come to an account, and then issuing bonds, 7 to 10 years and beyond, right? And that became a very successful bond in the market. It's just unfortunate it had to be restructured as part of the others. But these are some of the solutions. I think we can. So, for instance, if I look at the 24-hour economy, which of these can we projectize? I see GIF. It's in the picture. SPV. It's in the picture. How can we, as commercial bank commercial bank usually like to stay in short, 3 to 5 years max, right? But then the project's viability goes beyond that. There's a build phase, there's a construct, and all of that. So how do we extend, how do we get support from you and also patient fund from pension funds to see how we can, blend it and achieve an optimal financing solution? Thank you.
No, the key point Richard makes is around mobilization. How do you mobilize capital? How do you put in, for example, DFI catalytic funding that is prepared to take sort of the first loss, some guarantee programs? How do you then bring on board pension funds who have a much longer term horizon, including ourselves? Our power plants, we are in there for 15 years. And it's still performing somewhat, but we're in there because we understand the impact it's going to provide. What we've done as BI is to set up the Ghana Investment Support Program that is expected to sort of work along this whole value chain. currently is working on developing pipelines, especially for SMEs, is working on fund managers, is speaking to pension funds to ensure how they can then invest into these fund managers as well. And that's, for me, is one of the most innovative technical assistance programs we have here. We've deployed $6 million to that particular program. Now, beyond that, I think blended finance is very, very important. So conversations we are having around guarantees and first loss helps mobilize more money.
Thank you. Frank?
Yes, in addition to that, I would say that when it comes to patient capital, that is when Exim Bank comes in to provide the risk element, try to reduce the risk element by providing the guarantee. So if we have the pension schemes, for example, ready to dole out some money into the real sector, then we will come with a guarantee so more companies can leverage on that. In addition to the blended fund, I think that we could also look at syndicated funds, where we partner with, for example, UK Export Finance and other Exim banks to see how we can leverage on such facilities to be able to help grow the real economy.
Thank you for that. Just before we go into sort of the Q&A session, two final questions for the panel. How do British companies best approach you to access your capital? And what is the one single piece of advice you would give them about doing business in Ghana?
I'll probably go first. So in the last 12 months, we've invested in 2 businesses that have UK citizenships, or UK citizens actually own these businesses. The first one is True Cocoa, which is a soya bean processing company. And the second one is Grace, which is also based out of the UK, but it's a textiles business. What we've learned, the insights from investing in these businesses are that local partnerships are very, very important. It's important to find a local partner who understands the environment and understands the policy framework, understands regulations, and knows how to operate in Ghana. Bringing in your technology and processes, it's important to also localize that so that it works well. For what works out there does not necessarily work here. It's important to localize that. It's also important to bring on board sort of local partners, local financiers, so that your business will be successful. So basically, partnerships are very, very important when investing in Ghana.
Thank you, Kobena.
Yeah. We can add to it. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, just to add to it, local content, I think it cannot be overemphasized because they know the terrain. And I think from a regulatory point of view, there's that directive that you must have a percentage in local as well. I think it must be, your project must be nationally aligned. So all that is going on, the big push, so many initiatives going on. If to a large extent you try and align with it so that it gets the needed support policy-wise. I think that for British companies you have the benefit of leveraging UKEF. We've done several transactions infrastructure-wise in the market where UKEF has really been of great support to the contractor and also to the financiers, and obviously the BII, supporting trade and all the others. But I think I will leave saying that we should also be thinking green and sustainable finance project because ultimately we are heading to that area, and I think more financing will be attracted or be directed to that. So as you're starting, you better start with it and have that in mind so you are not left out. Thank you.
In addition to that, I would say that in addition to partnership, it is important that we, as Exim Bank, we are in Ghana, we are in the terrain, we understand what is going on. I believe that it's important that if you want to come in, you contact us early, so we'll be able to help you align your project to some of the government policies, so you can take advantage of some of these incentives. In addition to that, I think that it's important, compliance is key. And for most of the time, foreign companies fall short of, so not because they don't want to do, but for lack of knowledge. So I think that the partnership bit comes in here very handy. When you partner with a local, you are able to circumvent some of these issues, and then you are able to take foothold in the economy. But I want to say that we respect the UK companies. I think it's important that you leverage the guarantee schemes at Exim Bank as well as the UK Export Finance so that you can be able to jumpstart your process. Thank you very much.
Sorry, what was the question again?
So how do the UK companies approach you to access your capital, and what's the single piece of advice you would give them about doing business here?
Okay. So first part of the question, so I will say one way to approach us will be through partnerships that will leverage technological innovation from your part of the world, sharing those with local companies. A lot of things that have already been done successfully in other parts of the world, I think we can leverage on those skills and talent and knowledge in order to leapfrog. We don't have to go through the same mistakes, if I can put it that way, that other companies or other parts of the world made. And so if they can share that, technology and knowledge transfer for local companies, that would be great. And then secondly, I'll also add that it's important to be patient as far as deploying capital with, a market like ours, because it takes time for things to work out over here. We don't have as deep an economy and a ecosystem that exists outside of our continent. Things take much longer to work out due to various factors. And we're still a growing economy, so we appreciate when outside capital comes in with a lot of patience, long term, that will help businesses to thrive and go through the various stages of development before they're able to get their monies out. And then lastly, I'll add that in order to attract funds from companies like ours, we would like to see what the end game is going to be like. So regardless of how long it's going to take, we want to be able to partner for investments that we can not almost guarantee that our contributors are going to be put in a good place when there's time to retire. That's ultimately our number one fiduciary responsibility, is to our pension contributors, because so their interests are paramount. Everything else comes secondary. When they do well, we do well. So that's the way I'll look at it. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much. You've heard enough from us. Let's hear some questions from the floor, if there are any. And when you do ask the question, if you can announce your name and the company that you represent. Lena.
Thank you, panel, for a very informative discussion. My name is Lena Rose Senior. I'm a technologist. We're innovating in property, asset and waste technology. We're currently working with the Kenyan government to deliver digitally enabled solid waste infrastructure enabled with our technology. So there's no mention yet about waste, which for the Kenyan government is a priority project. Are any of you currently investing in that space? Thank you.
Yes, we are. Or we are looking to invest in that space, technology-enabled funds. No, we are looking for investments in that space in Ghana. We're looking for climate finance, tech-enabled businesses. We are currently invested in the Africa Renewable Empowerment Fund, which is managed by Berkeley Fund, and they are actually making investments in biomass, investments in smart irrigation, all across Africa. But I personally am looking for more climate investments in Ghana.
So, Lena, you have an open door there with your proposal. Any other questions from the floor? These guys have the money, so if you don't ask the questions, you won't know. No? At the front here, please.
Thank you very much. I'm reassured that there's, between the four of you, I probably can imagine we have about 12 to 15 billion dollars running around you. So the scale of investment we're looking for the 24-hour economy is about 4.5 billion. The question I want to ask is, you saw the presentation, some of the highlighted some of the strategic opportunities. How much of these opportunities, or which of them do you want to consider, and how much are you willing to put on the table within the next 30 minutes for me?
That's the sort of question that gets people sweating.
I would want to say that with Exim Bank, as part of our strategy for the next 5 years, we are focusing seriously on poultry as well as rice. These are two main projects that we are focusing on, and we are going to put in significant amount. I will not be able to mention the exact amount, but I can assure you that these are the two main focus areas for the bank, for the next 4 to 5 years. So you can be assured that we are with you all the way.
Yeah, so I mean, Standard Chartered Bank, I think we've been here, the longest bank in Ghana. We've put in over $2 billion investment across sectors, from infrastructure all the way, private sector to government sector. I think we believe in the vision. I had a chat with you to see how best we monitor and make sure things are, so we can support. So I think our commitment is to do more of what we've done to support the growth. Yeah.
At BI, we support private sector entities, so we do not do public sector directly. So what I'm looking for is private sector actors who are going to be involved in all the sectors that you've mentioned, because all the sectors that you mentioned deliver the impact that we're looking for. So credible private sector investors who have a proven economic model, and we are happy to invest in these businesses.
Yeah, so I want to assure your team that the pension industry and Access in particular, we're very much aligned with what 24-hour economy stands for and what you're trying to do. I just want to start by saying that, first of all, private capital and private businesses will thrive in a certain space, okay? What makes private businesses thrive? I think we need to look at what are some of the challenges that haven't made private businesses succeed the way we've expected them to succeed over the decades. And so the biggest costs, I believe, for private businesses include energy. Okay, cost of energy is really, really high. Now we embarking on a 24-hour economy. I want to believe that the energy supply currently has not been enough to, make businesses run, during the day. Now, if we add, 24 hours, that's going to triple the energy requirements. What are the plans to boost that? Okay, there is, AI boom all around the world. In the US, for instance, there's not enough energy to power the demand for AI. So they've started investing in nuclear energy, for instance. Because one search, on ChatGPT or Perplexity okay, it's about 1,000 times the energy demanded, the energy used versus just a Google search. And so the more AI is developed, the energy demands are going to be great. And I know Ghana and Africa in general, we're investing in technology. And so we need to prepare for that, fourth industrial revolution that we're looking at. When we use more of, AI or advanced technology, the energy demand that we currently, there's not enough right now. It's going to be great. So that's just one aspect of it. Road infrastructure. We talked about, how we're going to set up all the different corridors along the country. I know you mentioned the Volta, lake and the transportation, system that's going to be put in place there. But are there other forms of transportation that we're looking at? Is rail transportation being looked at? I mean, I know the roads, we're looking at them. There's been road construction all over the place, but that needs to also be enhanced. But I can tell you, if the infrastructure is developed properly, and the right policies are put in place, and then go back to the first point that I made about investment guidelines. Once that is also updated, Access and the pension industry will flock to invest in some of these projects that you're looking at. So we are aligned with you. I just want us to kind of put the priorities in place to make it easy for private businesses to thrive. If private businesses thrive, we're all going to be eager to invest in them. So that's all I want to add to
Thanks ever so much. And Mr. Tano, you had a question.
I had a contribution. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Asante-Poku, the money that we're trying to mobilize is not for the Secretariat or the authority. It's for the private sector. So let's be very clear about that. What we're mobilizing for the Secretariat is technical assistance. But the SME on lending, the infrastructure fund, through the sub-funds of the GIF, the equity injection from venture capital, is all for the private sector in the sectors and value chains that we believe will be most impactful in transforming this economy, particularly reducing the import bill of $3.5 billion to sustainable levels that will give a chance for our city to stabilize. So that's one component. Energy. You're 150% right. Without energy, a lot of these plans mean nothing. So when we looked at the energy situation in Ghana, including the legacy debt, and also the resource availability in terms of gas and its pricing, our gas price is very high, $8 per MMBTU. And you're looking at Henry Hub today, I think it's about $2 or $3 per MMBTU. So you can see the differential. So we looked at them and said, okay, let's choose an energy mix that has been proven to work elsewhere. And let's look at the new technologies that are bringing the cost per kilowatt hour of electricity down. So we did the study, and we looked at a situation where solar panel systems supported by battery technology are now working on an average of 4.7 cents per kilowatt hour. Without it, can do 4. So we then impose on ourselves the discipline that if you are in the industrial park or an agroecological park, we will promote captive power from between 5 megawatts to 50 megawatts per park. And I think Roland, our energy guy, did a recent analysis, and the requirement over the next 5 years is to build out about 1,950 megawatts of power to support the corridor, and also other industrial and agroecological clusters outside of the corridor. So the energy mix is first, solar, 2, biomass to energy, 3, the grid. That's our order, precisely because of the concerns that you have. So the SPVs, the GIF SPV for the infrastructure will include power purchase agreements with the SPV for captive power for the particular industrial ecological parks. We're beginning with 20 agroecological parks and 5 industrial parks in the next 4 years. So all of that data, the protocols surrounding it, the feasibilities, all that we have made available to the likes of Axis for you to look at and see how you invest, whether through the SPVs or through the operating companies themselves within the parks based on their business plans and outlook. So thank you very much. Thank you. And Stanchart, we will take you for your word. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tanner, thank you for that contribution. Just one response to that last question from the floor there. When you think about the pension fund's $6.7 billion, of which 70% plus minus is actually in government securities, that's $4 billion. Taking up the suggestion that there needs to be changes in asset class in the regulatory space, the government can unlock that pension money to redirect it away from the government sector and into the productive economy. But I would like to applaud the 24-hour Secretariat really driving the culture that government has no business of being in business, but being an enabler for business. And that's something that the private sector has wanted to hear for a long time and see from the government. So congratulations there. I would draw this panel to an end now. Sorry, one last question. I didn't see your hand there, but
Thank you very much. My name is Abdel Nasser. I'm a farmer. Listening to all the beautiful contributions from the panelists, agriculture stands as a major plank in the 24-hour economy policy. Unfortunately, agricultural investment is very, very, very low, particularly from our financial institutions, because we are always told the risk associated with agriculture. Rightly so, but I also haven't seen any of the financial institutions also making an effort to de-risk agriculture. One of the major risks is the weather, because we are highly relying on rain-fed agriculture. Yet we have so many rivers, the White Volta, the Black Volta, the Dakar, the OT, all rivers across the country, and no effort has been made to de-risk agriculture through irrigation. Another risk is availability of farm power, machinery. It takes a farmer in the north to move all the way to Ejura to rent an equipment to go back and go and work. Rain-fed agriculture, timing is very important. Inadequate machinery. To the Exim Bank. Take, for example, Pakistan or Turkey. They have invested a lot in agricultural machinery, to the extent that Massey Ferguson is producing tractors in Pakistan for $15,000.
So
for local.
Just to interrupt, we are conscious of time, so could you get to the question?
For local. How are you supporting local agricultural production in de-risking what you call the risk? Irrigation, mechanization. So, for example, you can't risk irrigation. One last point. I'm just making a point. What is making you very difficult to invest is the pricing. The pricing. For example, you say irrigation will cost you this much. I'm a rice farmer. I don't need drip irrigation. And yet, you are pricing a drip irrigation project for me when I need just flood irrigation.
Sir,
you need to look at all this.
Can I just add,
Thank you so much.
You've asked the question, let them respond. We've got conscious with time. Would anybody like to respond?
30 seconds each, please.
Just one. Yes, so we have been supporting farmers, but financing equipment like tractors all over. But the issue has been with maintenance of said tractors, and that's why I'm so excited about 24-hour economy. Now, under the scheme or the policy, there's the proposal of having mechanization centers, right? Managed under an SPV or private sector. They will be commercially managed, and so when you need a facility, you go there, you get it done, and then it's paid for. I think that is the way to go, and the bank is strongly behind the 24-hour economy secretariat to be able to implement and bring that to life. Now, the issue about irrigation. As I speak to you now, this afternoon, the bank is meeting with some investors who are interested in helping us to set up irrigation parks that farmers can, rent plots of land for their farming activities. So in a nutshell, what I want to say is that we are all doing a lot, but it takes all of us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. You are a farmer. Your contribution is equally important, just as the bank's is. So we are all working together to get to where we want to be. We are not there yet, but I believe that with concerted effort, we'll be able to achieve what we want to achieve for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. So just to wrap up, you've heard from a number of financial institutions here. There are others in Ghana to approach, Gersau, Development Bank, and IFC. But hopefully you found this morning's session informative, and I do encourage you to speak to the panelists in the lunchtime and explore further questions you may have. Round of applause, please, for the panelists.
A round of applause for our panelists. Kindly stand just in front of your seat as we take a group photo before you come off the stage. Thank you very much. Let's give them another round of applause. We've come to a very important aspect of our program as we receive the keynote address from Honorable Samson Ahi, the Deputy Minister of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. He's also the Member of Parliament for Bodi constituency in the Western North region. Shall we receive him with a round of applause?
Honorable Ministers of State present, our distinguished advisor to the President on 24-hour economy, the British High Commissioner to Ghana, distinguished CEOs from Ghana and UK, respected business leaders, development partners, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to address you on behalf of the Honorable Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry at this important forum. Let me begin by expressing my deep appreciation to the organizers, and also say that I'm happy to join our partners from the United Kingdom, as well as the Ghanaian business community and policy stakeholders gathered here today for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana and the United Kingdom share a long history of trade and investment. From the early days, when Ghana cocoa first reached British markets, to today's evolving partnerships in textiles, education, energy, and finance. Our commercial ties have been both enduring and mutually beneficial. This forum provides us with a unique opportunity to write the next chapter of that story, one that focuses not only on exchanging goods, but on building industries, creating jobs, and shaping a future of shared prosperity. This gathering could not have come at a better time. The world is reshaping its trade and investment patterns, and Ghana, anchored on the government's bold 24-hour economy program, is positioning itself as a hub for industrial transformation, agribusiness development, and export-led growth. At the heart of our industrial policy is a clear vision to build a modern, diversified, and globally competitive economy that creates jobs, drives exports, and ensures prosperity for all. Through programs such as the Agribusiness Development and Value Extension Program, which strengthens value chains and establishes agro-industrial zones, and the Accelerated Export Development Program, which opens new markets under AFTA and beyond, Ghana is systematically building the linkages from farm to factory and from factory to markets. This vision is not abstract. It is supported by policy reforms, infrastructure investment, and targeted incentives that reduce the cost of doing business and expand opportunities for foreign investors. Ladies and gentlemen, for our partners from the UK, Ghana offers concrete entry points that align with both our national priorities and your investment strengths. In agriculture and agro-processing, Ghana is a leading producer of cocoa, cashew, tropical fruits, and other commodities. The opportunity lies in value addition, processing these raw materials into chocolates, juices, edible oils, and packaged foods for regional and global markets. UK firms bring expertise in food technology, supply chain logistics, and standards compliance that can transform these sectors. In textiles and garments, with a young and skilled workforce and preferential access to the US and EU markets under the AGWA and EPA frameworks, Ghana is well placed to become a garment manufacturing hub. It is worth noting that our draft policies on textiles and garments, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and automotive component manufacturing have recently been validated and will soon be transmitted to Cabinet for approval and implementation. This policy framework will further strengthen the enabling environment for UK businesses seeking to partner with Ghana in these strategic sectors. In pharmaceuticals, Ghana's ambition is to become West Africa's leading base for the production of medicines and vaccines. UK companies, with their advanced research and development, technology, and financing models, can bring immense value in expanding regional health security. At the same time, in machinery and industrial equipment, as we scale up agro-processing, construction, and manufacturing, the demand for a reliable machinery and equipment is rising. UK suppliers can enter long-term partnerships for supply, assembly, and maintenance hubs in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, the automotive industry is another promising area. Ghana already hosts global vehicle markets such as Toyota and Nissan, among others, who have established assembly plants in the country. With policy clarity and investor confidence driving growth, the sector is rapidly developing into a regional hub. Here again, opportunities abound for UK firms in component manufacturing, technology transfer, and skills development. Ghana presents compelling advantages. Our geographical location and the presence of the AFTA Secretariat in Accra provides privileged access to a continental market of 1.3 billion people with a GDP of 3.4 trillion US dollars. We are also deepening reforms under the Business Regulatory Reform Program, while modernizing our investment frameworks to provide predictability, incentives, and legal protections for investors. Above all, the 24-hour economy initiative is a game changer, ensuring continuous productivity, reducing turnaround times in manufacturing, logistics and trade facilitation, and giving partners higher efficiency, quicker returns, and stronger competitiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to note that partnerships thrive when they are built on trust, shared value, and long-term vision. Ghana does not simply seek investors, we seek partners, partners who will create jobs, transfer technology, and build capacity alongside us. Let me assure our UK colleagues that Ghana is ready. Our policies are aligned. Our workforce is young and dynamic, and our private sector is eager to collaborate. Together, we can turn opportunities into enterprises, enterprises into industries, and industries into engines of shared prosperity. As I conclude, let me invite all UK businesses here to take bold steps into Ghana's industrial landscape. The time to act is now. The 24-hour economy provides the platform. Our strategic entry points provide the pathways, and our shared commitment to innovation and trade provides the guarantees of success. Ladies and gentlemen, let us build a partnership that not only transforms Ghana's economy, but also sets a benchmark for UK-Africa commercial relations in the 21st century. Thank you all for your attention.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for those profound words. Up next, it's lunchtime. I know some of us have been looking forward to that. I have. Lunch. When we come back for lunch, from lunch, please note that we have a panel discussion continuing in this room, and that will be looking at the realities of doing business in Ghana. We'll be hearing from the UK companies that are doing amazing work in Ghana. The next thing that's happening simultaneously is a matchmaking zone where we can have B2B discussions. If you've identified a business you would like to partner with or know more about, it's happening in the Prince Hall. We would also have ushers to direct us. The 24-hour Secretariat will be delivering live investment pitches in meeting room AXO 1. That is, once you step out to the left, it's on this side of the corridor. I know a few of us have reached out to me to ask, how can I also share what I do with the Secretariat? That will be the best place to be as well as you listen to their live pitches. So thank you very much. We are resuming at 1. I would have more announcements for you. Ajoba, is there anything else you wanted me to say? Awesome. Let's give Ajoba and the UKGCC team a round of applause. This has been fantastic so far. To all who've participated so far, thank you so much, Steve. Fantastic panel. We really appreciate it. To all the panelists, thank you. Let's go for lunch. The next panel discussion is a very interesting one. We are promoting doing business in Ghana, encouraging UK businesses to invest and come and do business in Ghana. So what is it like to do business in Ghana? This is the section where we hear from British companies doing amazing things. So to set the ball rolling, I'd like to invite the moderator for this session, Annika Crane from DMA Invest. Please let's give her a round of applause. Also joining us is Mr. William Hunt, Country Manager for Demeter Ghana. We have Mr. Mark Hogg, who is joining us online. He is the CEO of Mare Plantation. Let's give him a round of applause. Mark, can you hear me clearly? Okay, we heard you laugh, so I think can you say hello? Let's make sure we can hear you.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Wonderful, we can hear you. Also on the panel is Mr. Kwame Kesse Ajipong from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Shall we give him a round of applause? Annika, over to you.
How's everyone feeling? Yeah. I was going to make you say Azonto, but I'm not going to do that because the energy is high enough. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of UK government's 24-hour economy, UKGCC, and DMA Invest, we really appreciate your time today, and we're really looking forward to kickstarting this discussion about the opportunities of doing business in Ghana, the realities of doing such. I've got an expert panelists here today, and I'm going to hand over to them firstly to just introduce themselves, their job titles, the companies they work for, a bit about what they do. Mark, I'm going to start with you because you're on screen, and then I'm going to hand over to you both. Go ahead, Mark.
Goody, thank you. My name's Mark Hogg. I'm the Chief Executive and founder of Mere Plantations. I've been doing business in Ghana since 1996, which is quite a while. We have 10,000 acres of fully degraded forest land in the Afram Headwaters Forest Reserve in Ashanti in Ghana, which we have been reforesting since 2010. And yeah, look forward to this discussion.
Amazing. Thank you, Mark. William.
Thank you. My name is William Hunt, and I'm the country manager for Demeter Ghana and the chair for agribusiness at the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce. Demeter Ghana is an agribusiness operating since 2014 in Ghana, and we specialize in importing and distributing high-quality agricultural inputs, so fertilizers and seeds. And we work from the smallest of smallholder farmers in the northern edges of Ghana down to the largest of the large plantations in the western regions growing oil palm, etc.
Hi, good afternoon. So my name is Kwame Kesse Ajipong. I currently head the Investment Promotion and Business Development Division at the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. So the Ghana Investment Promotion Center is the government agency set up to promote and facilitate investments into Ghana by distributing both foreign and domestic investments. In my role, I lead the investment promotion drive. Trying to bring in and expand more investments into the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame. Thank you, William. And thank you, Mark. So, moving on to Ghana. Ghana is considered one of the most stable and business-friendly destinations here in West Africa. So I'd like to start with you, William. We were just speaking earlier. Demeter's been here just over 10 years. In your experience, what makes this country an attractive business market? How has your experience been when you've started? You know, tell us a bit, give us a bit of an overview.
Thank you. So I think we've heard a lot of good points throughout today that Ghana is a stable democracy. It's a great place to live. We're all speaking in English. We're only 6 hours from London by flight, so it's a very accessible place for British companies to come and do business. And for me, one of the greatest opportunities presented here in Ghana that hasn't been mentioned is the population growth. Today we're at 35 million people. In 2050, we're going to be 52 million people. So that's another 17 million people in what is only 25 years from now. So what you have is a massively growing market, and for a company like us, that's 52 million people that need to eat, and we want to work on reducing that $3.5 billion food import bill that we keep hearing about. And also, the Lagos-Abidjan corridor where we're sitting now is going to be the fastest population growth in the whole world this century. So Ghana is a stable place to be, and from here, you can use it as your base to access the rest of the West African region.
Okay, thank you, William. Mark, assuming you can hear me. So you've been here since 1996. You know, a lot of things have happened in the world since 1996, and I'm sure there have been lots of changes in Ghana. So I'd love to hear a bit more from you. What makes this market attractive? How has it changed since then? And how really has your experience been over the almost 30 years?
Yeah, thanks for that. You're making me feel really old now.
Sorry.
No problem. How has it changed? I mean, yeah, the world has changed. The IT revolution has really changed things. But I think Ghana has, in some ways, changed beyond all recognition, and in other ways has remained true to what it is. So Ghana has always been proud of the fact that it's developing. It's been very open and honest about the fact that it has some challenges, has difficulties, and has some way to go. And I think in admitting that, it is working very hard to try and make it more business friendly. I think as a UK company, yeah, you're right. It's 6 hours away. It's really easy to get to. There are multiple flights every day. I think Accra has changed beyond recognition. The buildings that have gone on there, the development that has gone on there. I mean, some fantastic restaurants there now. We're out in the rural area. So we are, the southern end of our plantation is 35 miles north of Kumasi. And the change is, it's starting there, but it's much slower. I think from a business point of view, it is English. It's based on English law. It's based on English accountancy. It's a member of the International Accounting Standard. All great things. They make it very, very easy for people to come and start doing business in Ghana. I think one of the really exciting things for us is seeing things like the parts business for equipment and machinery start to develop, start to gain a foothold, gain traction. The communications, I remember when we first started planting on the plantation, that was it. You went to work at 6:30 in the morning and you knew you were going to have no mobile phone service until 6 o'clock at night when you came off the plantation. Now, it's crazy. You can be stood in the middle of a compartment of 100 hectares and you've got perfect mobile phone service and you can download your emails. So that has been one of the biggest differences for us in the time that we're here. But I think Ghana has maintained its core values, which I guess is fairly difficult to do when you're growing and expanding so quickly. The workforce still want to work. People are willing to learn. People are hungry for opportunity. And that's very much a Ghanaian trait. I was on the plantation 2 weeks ago and looking around and everybody was smiling. And that's kind of a nice environment to be in, where people are happy, going about their business, and then, yeah, go home, do their thing. So, yeah, it's maintained its true colors, its true people and culture, and yet developed and is continuing to develop.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Really interesting points there on the importance of technology and how that's had a huge impact across sectors, but also, you know, maintaining authenticity. So I'm going to hand over to you, Kwame, to talk a bit about, you know, how has GIPC developed to fit the needs of external businesses coming through, but also how have you maintained those core values? What are the core values? How have you upheld them, knowing that there is always, you know, external pressures and external changes? How have you held on to that authenticity?
Thank you for the question. So we at the GIPC are set up to be the private sector wing of the government. So our business is with the businessmen. So our approach is to think like how a businessman will think. Now, when we meet investors, we listen to them attentively. We listen with a view of providing solutions to them. We listen with a view of making sure that they leave our presence with answers and actionable next steps. And of course, we try to give them the best responses in time so that they do come back and do set up their business in Ghana. Talking about the core values, Ghana is blessed with a very young and vibrant population. The literacy rate is quite high at 79%. And we are people who love to work. I like the smiles from the farm. We are people who carry burdens, but we carry it with swag, like I'll say. We carry it with a good step. And so we are always open-minded, always learning on the job, off the job, always picking information in and out, and seeking to improve ourselves. We at GIPC, with the development of technology, trying to make ourselves available to our stakeholders. We have a very vibrant social media platform. You can follow us on our LinkedIn channel. You can follow us on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on our Facebook, on our X links, Instagram. We are everywhere trying to make sure that investors get to know what they need to know before they set up. And even those who have set up, we try to make ourselves very relevant to them. We have an aftercare and investor grievance team that makes sure that when people have problems, they can talk to us, especially with the MDAs. We have focal persons scattered all across the various MDAs to try and resolve these problems before they develop into issues. I'm glad to hear my colleague panelists speak, because they are the people who are doing the advertising for us, because they have had a good experience, and we say that a happy investor will bring in more investors. So hence this team, to make sure that the little issues, that the challenges they may have, do not go beyond acceptable levels. We can manage it and control it. So that would be my response to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame. Really wonderful to hear about the positive working mindset. I also find in Ghana that young people and basically people all over are in a growth mindset. It's a really important factor that does make the country attractive as an investment destination and for doing business. William, speaking more about this, I'd like to learn a bit more specifically about what are the opportunities here that you've leveraged. I mean, we've spoken about some of the positivities. Tell us more about the opportunities that have been great for you and for growing the business.
Thank you. Yeah, so working in agriculture, the opportunities are huge, and we heard about a lot of those from the 24-hour economy Secretariat today. But for us, something that we focus on is what we call the yield gap, which is the yield that farmers are achieving compared to what they could be. So, for example, a maize farmer in the north of Ghana is achieving 1.8 or 2 tons per hectare, but they should be easily able to achieve 5 or 6 tons. So the amount of value that is being lost there through not using the right fertilizers, through not having access to irrigation, is massive. And that's before we get on to post-harvest losses, which I won't discuss now. But this productivity gap means there's huge amounts of untapped value in the agricultural sector in Ghana. And again, I'll bring us back to that 3.5 billion food import bill figure. Another challenge or opportunity in Ghana is that you must understand 90% of the workforce operate in the informal sector. And the informal sector contributes 40% to the GDP. So in most sectors, you will be interacting with the informal sector. And it's often a fragmented market that's challenging to interact with, to reach the first mile in the case of aggregating, or to reach the last mile if you're a consumer-facing business. Another aspect of that is that KYC and knowing your customers can be very challenging. We have over 120 distributors and retailers all over the country. Many of these companies are not registered. They don't have a bank account. They certainly don't have audited accounts. So we as a company are offering these people credit. So it becomes much more of a trust-based system. And we, in turn, become sort of like a credit rating agency as much as a fertilizer supplier, because these companies don't have access to credit, or they have difficulty accessing credit beyond, microcredit, which is not going to fill a warehouse with fertilizer. So the opportunity I'm coming to is that if you build an ecosystem around your company and you learn to navigate these challenges, then you can succeed in Ghana. But you really need to understand these peripheral issues that will exist around the value chain that you're operating in.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really interesting point there on the informal market. If you are coming from the UK or the West mainly, the size of the informal market in Ghana is significantly bigger than in the UK, for example. So that's one of the first things that you need to consider when coming through is understanding how to navigate the day-to-day, you know, the informal markets that you'll be working with. So Mark, to you, you know, the informal market has obviously changed a lot over the decades, and we're seeing across all of Africa more people are moving into big cities more and more, right? But you're in rural Ghana, so tell us a bit more about, you know, what are some other things that the first things you have to consider if you want to set up a business here, if you want to expand operations here, and I'm talking about the day-to-day navigating and the various stakeholders that you're going to come across and be working with.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting topic. It is extremely different to the UK. Like William said, you know, you can't go and get audited accounts, you can't go to company's house, you can't credit rate anybody. It is very much, okay, who do you know, who do we know that knows you? From a very, very early stage, we took the decision that we wanted to integrate into the community as much as possible and integrate into the rural way of doing things, but to bring a very gradual process to formalizing and becoming more international about the process. So for example, Forestry Commission, we have a 50-year land lease that's renewable on the Forest Reserve on the land with them. We uniquely, I think at the time, went along to the House of Chiefs and we got the chiefs as signatories to our land lease, as well as formalizing in Accra at the land registry. We brought the local chiefs along with us and the traditional councils, and they are all stakeholders in the plantation. So we pay a 10% benefit share through the Forestry Commission. We also pay a further 10% on a voluntary basis, so we don't give away cash, but we do fund and invest projects. So last year we refurbished the local primary school and so on and so forth. It's really important to us that we try and fit in. Walking into Ghana for any business and saying, okay, this is the way we do it, guys, and this is the way you're going to do it from now on, you're going to fail. We're dealing with nature, we're dealing with traditional authorities, traditional beliefs, and a workforce that probably know the forest better than we could ever hope to. From a security point of view, from a particular aspect of our business, Ghana, the whole of Africa, has a problem with illegal logging. Our workforce, because they consider themselves part of mere plantations and want to be part of it for the long term, they will instantly know who the illegal loggers in the area, and we don't need to say a word. They'll go and have a quiet word with them and they'll say, look, stay off our land. It's a no-go. And I think building that level of trust with the community, building that level of trust with the individual people is really critical to success, certainly in rural Ghana. They need to feel part of it, and they very much are part of our future in Ghana.
Thank you, Mark. That's a really wonderful example of, you know, an organization looking at the importance of community engagement, you know, land use, and really taking the time and putting in the effort to understand the environment. So Kwame, for you, you know, to companies who might want to expand here, but maybe they have set processes, they have certain ways of doing things, and they don't or have not yet taken the time to understand the local market, how do you help them localize their operations? How do you help them navigate challenges that they would only face here, that they're coming in blindly and they're looking to you for answers? Those are difficult conversations to have, and how do you go about that?
Yeah, that's a tough one, but what we try to do is to be as available to the investor as possible. We assign officers to each project to handhold especially when it comes to the legal and regulatory system, to make sure that they are able to go through all those seamlessly. And when it comes to actual on the ground, getting into the community and all these kind of issues, we try to brief them as much as possible, not to be adversarial to the people they are going into, because we cannot be on field with them. We do visits from time to time, but we are not always there. So we try to let them know that they need to deal with the district chief executives, the local people. In our advice to them, try and make sure that you have the chiefs and the people on your side who understand your project. Try and employ and deploy soft skills to make sure that they feel part of your project. And that's how far we go. Once a while, especially with companies that are very far away from Greater Accra, we do company visits. We go as far as the Western North. We have offices spread across the country. We have an office in the Western region that covers the Western North and the Central region. We have an office in Tamale that covers the 5 northern regions. And we have an office in Kumasi for the middle belt. So all these officers have tasks to make sure that they are monitoring, that they are supervising, that they are in touch with the companies to check on how they are doing and how their business is going. We do not meddle in the day-to-day activities of companies. Of course, we can't do that, but we try to advise them as possible to localize and to make sure that the community don't see them as coming to take from them, but they see them as coming to help them develop their areas.
Yeah. Wonderful, thank you, Kwame. Those sound like very, positive engagements and ways to help companies navigate, but also not do the work for them, which obviously you can't do, right? I think this links very much to community engagement and local partnerships. The reason for this event today is to bring together external businesses, local businesses, to facilitate conversations, be it positive, be them challenging, and really to get people to partner up, right, and have impact and add value to the country. So you've been here for a decade. Tell us a bit about some local partnerships that you've engaged with, the success of those, and how you would suggest partnering locally to some businesses looking to come in.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I mean, local partnerships are absolutely critical to operating in Ghana, to operating anywhere. In terms of market access, regulatory understanding, in terms of credibility in the market, it would be very, very difficult to succeed in Ghana without partnerships. You know, the oft-quoted phrase, to go fast, go alone, to go far, go together. For us, we made the decision not to open our own shops and to partner with distributors around the country, over 100 of them, because these distributors are in the communities, they know who their customers are, so they're better placed to offer smallholder farmers credit, and likewise, the farmers know who they are, so there's that element of trust. As Mark was touching on, it's relationships that are so, so vital in Ghana. A contract won't always get you paid, but trust and a strong relationship often will.
Thank you, William. Trust is very important in business, for sure. Mark, same question to you. Tell us a bit about local partnerships, how those have evolved, the success of that, and any suggestions and advice you would give to businesses who are looking to enter and looking for local partners.
Yeah, choose carefully. As anywhere in the world, I'm incredibly lucky. So my business partner, who's a full equity partner in Mere Plantations, I've known him for nearly 30 years. He's well thought of, well connected. It's quite embarrassing driving down the road with him sometimes. He seems to know everybody, and he can remember everybody's name. But he helps us get things done in Ghana where we would be hitting brick walls. I think it's a bigger picture than that for us. We're stuck there for a long time. We have golden handcuffs on because, I mean, growing trees anywhere in the world makes paint drying look like a spectator sport. It's slow. It takes years and years and years. And I think for us, it's about partnering. It's about people knowing that you have your partners and you respect the local community, the local cultures. I think, I mean, one example, you have to go on a journey with people. So when we started off, virtually all of the area, all of our workers were in the shadow economy, outside the economy, however you want to best term it. We've gradually, over the years, brought every single one of those workers forward with us, not forcing them to do it. They've wanted to do it. So couple of little examples of that is everybody wanted paying in cash because the cash was under the bed and they had their own way of dealing with things. And that's a rural economy almost anywhere in the world. We've gradually taken from the cash payments on a weekly basis, we now pay monthly on direct bank transfer. We've assisted every single member of staff, casual and permanent, to open bank accounts. And thanks to GIPC, the banks have been fantastic with us. So they've actually accommodated account opening for a lot of our, well, all of our workforce, even if IDs were a problem in the rural areas and so on and so forth. We have moved every single one of them into the SNP platform. So we're paying their taxes, we're paying their equivalent of national insurance. That means that they have workers' rights. They haven't necessarily understood it, what we were doing and why we were doing it when we've done it, but as time's gone on, they have understood it. And I think if you walk into a rural community in Ghana and you say, okay guys, we're here now, everything's going to be fantastic, this is the way we're going to do it, you will fail. If you walk into the rural community and you become a good neighbor and a good developer and a good colleague to these people, they'll go to hell and back for you. They really will work very, very hard and they'll do their best for the company. And the process of bringing the informal economy to a more formal basis without it being kicking and screaming, it just naturally evolves, I think has been one of the biggest things we've done. And I think having great relationship with the chiefs, I cannot stress how important that is for businesses going in there, especially outside the Greater Accra region. You have to take the time, you have to observe the formalities, you have to observe the cultural norms, and accept them, embrace them.
Thank you, Mark. I actually want to stick with you because you've spoken a lot about working with local talent, human capital, the way that has developed. Tell us a bit more about, I guess, firstly, the strengths that you've seen, commonly across the people that you've worked with, but maybe also where there were areas for growth, areas in which you have invested in, potential skills training, different initiatives that you may have set up to get people to be working at a way that you want to be working at and helping them with their skills.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a really important part of our business. Firstly, it has to be a skills share. The local people, the forest communities can teach us as much as we can teach them. That is just proven to us time and time and time again. But areas where there have been difficulties in the past, such as machinery mechanics. So we run a lot of equipment, a lot of machinery. Some of it, I think, is probably unique to us in Ghana, but it's all run for very specific reasons. A huge problem for us in the early days was finding mechanics that were able to turn their hand to anything and that were really competent and proficient at all sorts of machines and everything from engines to gearbox to hydraulics. We identified this as a problem early on. We tried numerous local fixes, and it just wasn't working. If I've got, for example, 25 tractors that I need 23 of them out every day, and I've got 12 of them down because people don't understand what's needed to fix them, that's no good. So we decided to bring in a training partner from the UK, Myerscough College. We've brought them in for the last 3 years, and they've gone through training and process for the drivers, for the operators, for our chainsaw operators, to MVQ level 3, which is an international standard. And they've certified and signed these guys off. We've brought in a couple of expats, even though I don't like doing it, but we've brought specific mechanics for diesel and heavy machinery in, and we're running full MVQ level 3 training programs now for local people. So we're starting to see that this time for the first year, we've got mechanics that have been through our training course that are now actually leading training of juniors. And it's a slow process, it's gradual, but these are mechanics could now jump on a plane and go and get a job in Germany, America, UK, anywhere. And that has been absolutely game-changing for our business.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Mark. Very interesting to hear that you did bring in, external expertise to bring skills, to do training, to international standards and certificates, which is really important. I think, Kwame, I'd like to hand this to you. Mark has brought external experts to come and train, which is a wonderful thing. What can GIPC do, or what are you doing to help train the locals here, to get international standards and experts here? Do you help companies with finding talent? Tell us a bit about that and any of the initiatives you've worked on.
Okay, so to set it out clearly, we don't engage in such training exercises or capacity development exercises, but we look out for such programs that are being run by GIZ and all these other donor agencies, and we make recommendations and sometimes ask them to take on some of our companies for some of these capacity development programs, because our mandate does not allow us to do like the actual training, but then using our channels and our links, we sometimes are able to get some form of trainings for small enterprises, like to help them build their capacity and develop and to be able to play a role. When it comes to recruitment, we try to stay as far away from it as possible, because all of these companies know the kind of people that they want and the kind of skills that they need. We are not experts, and we will never claim to be experts in any field. So we try to stay away as far as possible, but if you need us to make some recommendations, i.e. you need a connection with a university that undertakes a particular kind of training, offers a particular kind of course, yes, of course. We do link you up to those universities and those institutions that offer those courses, so that you can deal with the institutions or the universities, so that you can recruit from their graduates or taking internships and those kind of things. That's how we play in terms of the recruitment and manpower development for enterprises.
Thank you, Kwame. Good to hear that people can come to you for advice, and even people looking to expand their skills can also come to GIPC, which is really wonderful. To you, William, in your experience, how has it been with skills training? Have you seen areas for growth? What have been some of the strengths of working with people here? Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, so Ghana has a lot of talented people. The education standards are very high. We have a lot of talented individuals working at our company. Ghanaians are very strong, particularly, I think, in entrepreneurial spirit and relationship building, in building connections locally. So for a lot of our team who are out in rural areas, this is really critical to the growth of our business. One gap, I would say, is in applied knowledge. I hesitate to say critical thinking, but applied knowledge. So we have graduates coming to the company who have a huge amount of knowledge, say, in soil chemistry, but the ability for them to transform that into recommendations for a farmer isn't quite there. So we, for example, have a research and development farm where we bring interns from the university and we give them jobs afterwards. So we have internalized a lot of the training to take university graduates and make them ready for the workforce. One other point I would say is Ghanaians often aim to please, which can be sometimes an issue in the culture of the workplace, especially to their superiors. So we spend a lot of time encouraging, especially our graduates, to disagree with us, because the boss is not always right. And sometimes people don't want to speak up when they have perhaps noticed a mistake or the error. So there are some cultural differences that require consistent reinforcement. But, you know, they're fun challenges to have.
Amazing, thank you. I love that you said entrepreneurial spirit, another way of saying growth mindset, right? Yeah. People really here are keen to work, keen to innovate, keen to grow, keen to please, which has its pros and cons clearly. So again, really positive to hear all of that and to hear about the experiences of both of you. Talking a bit more about just, I guess, the overall being a UK company in Ghana. You know, you're talking to people in the UK on a daily basis, you're talking to people in Ghana, you're probably talking to people in the region, and sticking with you, William. How has that experience been? Have you worked with UKGCC? Have you worked with the British High Commission? What have been the benefits of being a UK company here? Maybe what have been some of the negatives of that specifically? Tell us a bit about that experience.
Okay, well, being on the board of the UKGCC, I don't think Ajoba would forgive me if I wasn't about to plug them now. But being a UK company in Ghana, obviously there's a lot of historical ties between the two countries. Being a UK company offers quite a lot of credibility as an organization. Of course, remembering all of the points that Mark just laid out about local customs and context, and understanding that you need to adapt as much as maybe you want your workforce to adapt. But in terms of being a UK company, being a member of the UKGCC has been fantastic, so I recommend anyone here who's not a member to join. The visibility you get through them, the networking opportunities are fantastic. Then, with the British High Commission and also the Department for Business and Trade, the team are here somewhere. They're also very useful in terms of advocacy, regulatory advice. Maybe you're struggling to get a certificate from a certain ministry and they know the right person to have a word with just to make sure you can get your licensing and move forward. So they can also open doors and unblock things for you as well.
Amazing. That's definitely also partners who are based locally you can work with, the importance of community, the importance of relationships, all of these things that businesses coming to expand here need to keep at the forefront of their mind. There are people here. There's always someone who I find will help you and who is keen to work and help. So really positive to hear that. And for you, Mark, in your experience, working with the British High Commission, the UKGCC, other organizations that you have made use of that have been helpful for you as a British company, and again, you've got a lot of experience here over the decades. How have those institutions developed? How are people working together to help you? Please tell us a bit more.
Okay, I'm kind of going to start now and work backwards, if that's okay. So 3 weeks ago, we had Ajoba on the plantation, which was great. I think the first comment she made when we got out of the Land Rover in compartment 13 was, "This is all yours?" And she was absolutely amazed by the size, by the scale of what we've achieved there. Working with them, UK Ghana Chamber, they are absolutely great, but I think forestry is a specialist sector. It's one that they're really doing a great job of learning on. It's one that they're really doing a great job of trying to support on. And I mean, Ajoba has just been absolutely superb. Highly recommend any British business looking at coming into Ghana to do anything definitely gets in touch with them. UK High Commission haven't really had a great deal to do with them. They've recently appointed a forestry expert into the commission, which is hopefully going to be helpful and useful to us. We're a little bit different in the fact that everything we do is on a commercial basis. So in our sector, in the forestry and the plantations, the vast majority of people use NGOs or have aid or NGO funding. We don't. We're on a purely commercial basis. So for us, I think our model has strayed away from everybody else that perhaps the High Commission has been used to working with.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, William. We've heard here from, forestry, agriculture. These are quite specific sectors. So, Kwame, for you, I'm going to ask a hypothetical question. Looking at the tech sector, which is booming across the continent. If I'm a tech founder from Liverpool and I want to set up a business here in Ghana, specifically in Accra, who's the first person I talk to? Do I go to the Ghana High Commission in London? Do I call up UKGCC? Do I come to you? I'm completely lost and I don't know where to start, but I'm really keen to focus on Ghana. What's the first thing I should do?
First thing is look us up on our website, and we have a live chat box feature that responds live. We'll take your questions, take your inquiries, and try to provide as much information you need as possible. Then you might need to contact the High Commission in UK because you want to come down. You need a visa. But before that, we relate with you online via email, exchange emails, answer all the questions that you need to get answers to. If you need us to connect you to people that you want to speak with or exchange emails with, we'll do that. So your first point of call is the GIPC. Have a chat with us through our website, through our social media portals. Reach us via our email, info@gipc.gov.gh. It's a very responsive email. And let's talk. Now, you might need to talk to, for instance, National Communications Authority because you are a tech firm and what you do might be regulated by them. We'll set up those meetings for you. You might need to speak to some banks, some company secretaries, some lawyers. Based on your request, we can make some recommendations to you so that before you actually enplane and come down to Ghana, you would have been able to make a lot of progress so that when you come to Ghana, you'll be able to finalize a few, the final stages of setting up in Ghana. And our response time is quite quick. We try to get you all that you need in the right time so that you can make a very good decision of coming to Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame. It's great to hear. I'd just like to hand over for some closing remarks to the panelists. I guess my final question would be, we've talked about the opportunities, we've talked about the challenges. Looking ahead, and I'll start with you, William, where do you see opportunities for improvement? Any advice you would give on potential policy changes, or how you see this market becoming even more business friendly, even more seamless, and anything that we can all take away and learn from?
Okay, well, I'm not sure if we have anyone from the Bank of Ghana in the room, but the recent relative stability in the currency has made operating as a business much, much better. There he is. So long may that stability continue. Staying on with stability is policy stability and predictability. So you've heard a lot about the plans today from the 24-hour Economy Secretariat, and I hope that we continue to be kept abreast of what the plans are. Just one example from the agriculture sector. In the news this morning, we saw that the National Food Stock Buffer Company is buying maize from farmers because there's a surplus in the north. Meanwhile, there have been massive imports of maize into the country and an export ban for Ghanaian farmers. So there are some policy inconsistencies, and these often change quite quickly and without warning. And, farming is a 6-month operation, so you need to know a year or two in advance what that kind of policy landscape is going to look like. So I hope that we're going to see more predictability going forward.
Very good point, and also noted on that, if you're going to do business here, you have to be adaptable, as we said earlier, so excellent said. And Mark, to you, you know, same question, any tips, any feedback you have for potential policy improvements, areas and, you know, for growth and strength, which can make this environment even more attractive for businesses wanting to come in?
Yeah, in general, Ghana is a great place to do business for UK companies. It's a great place to do business, it's forward-looking, and it is hungry for international business and investment. I think specifically in the forest sector and the ag sector, because we run Tundra systems as well, the Forestry Commission of Ghana are amazing. They're second to none. They have clear policies. They get information out to stakeholders very, very early. They engage stakeholders in decision-making rather than just making policies and advising you what they are. And they are amazingly approachable. So anybody looking at that sector, 100%. It's amazingly exciting what the 24-hour economy is doing. At the moment, we're working with them on a biochar product that we're bringing into the plantations. They are forward-thinking. They seem to be looking at options and avenues that normally takes a little bit of lateral thinking and you don't necessarily expect from a government. It's just a good, solid place to do business. Yes, there are challenges. Be prepared for frustration, be prepared for issues, but take a deep breath, come back at it from a slightly different direction. I think in Africa, you would struggle to find a better place to do business or to base yourself for a Pan-African expansion.
Excellent, well said. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, William. Thank you, Kwame. Before we step off stage, we just have a little bit of time for 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So I'm going to hand over. This gentleman here at the front is keen. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Adama Gaye. I am from Senegal. I like very much what I've heard all day long, and particularly Ghana selling itself as a good place to do business. One of the competitive aspects put forward has been Ghana's capacity to leverage the Africa zone. I don't know if this question would have been better for Mr. Guzitano, but I think you may take it. If you put up...
You'd like me to answer?
Huh? No, this gentleman, Mr. Kwame, I think. Kwame. When the free trade zone was created by Africa, people were afraid that the Chinese companies would come and settle in Africa and use Africa to dump their product in Europe or elsewhere. But that's what I'm hearing today. For the UK, you are telling the UK, come and you leverage this. Are you not, as Ghanaian, playing against the ideals of the free trade zone area, which should be to empower African nations and their business communities, not British companies? I'm a former director of ECOWAS. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your question. And I'm glad that you're a former director of ECOWAS, so you know all the nuances when it comes to some of these things. With the AFCFTA coming into force, there will be one instrument for investment, the Protocol on Investment. And so we will see the African continent as a country. Now, when you talk about the Chinese influence and the foreign influence, all the countries are allowed to promote investments into their countries according to the Protocol on Investment. So we will do the promotion, as will Senegal, to try and get investors into their countries, because indeed, we need to build the capacity of, how do you call, our local businesses. I agree perfectly. But sometimes, like they've explained here, we need joint ventureships for the businesses to be able to take on to the next level. Let's not forget also that without coming into effect, Dangote and the other African giants get more access to other African markets. So it's a good platform, it's a good opportunity, and I think that we need to make sure that we make the most use of this opportunity to develop our various economies. Thank you.
If I could just add to that as well, we are a UK-owned company, but we have over 65 Ghanaian employees. We're Ghanaian taxpayers. So as our company grows, it benefits the Ghanaian economy. And it's good you're director of ECOWAS. I'd like to talk to you afterwards, sir, because I send goods to Burkina, Ivory Coast, and Togo, and it's not as straightforward as you would be led to believe. So we can talk afterwards. Thank you for your question.
Thank you both. And the gentleman at the front for the last
yes,
question, please.
My name is Frank. I don't know who exactly to direct the question to. Maybe GIPC. Is there a chance for you to build a deliberate template that allows companies to soft land in Ghana? A template that allows for entities or individuals who want to set up in Ghana to not go through the random things that investors want to go through. So we have like regulatory support, have licensing support, how to register their companies, even if it means some orientation, cultural orientation for them, temporal office spaces. I think it opens up a lot and makes business very easy and landing in a country quite easy. I'm sure maybe UKGCC might be doing this, but I'm thinking from your end that could potentially help. Is that something you consider doing? And how would that affect doing business? Yeah.
Thank you for your question. So soft landing is very important to us. That's why, like I mentioned earlier, we have very close relationships with almost all the regulators. And I mentioned earlier that we assign officers to each project to make sure that the project goes through the process of incorporation and certification in most of the regulatory and certification institutes. That is one way we try to make sure that the investor lands as softly as possible. The idea of providing office space and all those kind of amenities for them to sort of plug and play for a week or two, a month, is about the availability of such space, which we don't have for such a setup yet. But I think that is something that we will take on, a good suggestion we'll take on, and try to make the landing of investors as easy as possible. What happens from our experience is that a lot of these investors talk to other people, talk to friends, talk to other relatives, friends, cousins, and get ill-advised and get their fingers burnt, and then they run back to us. And then they run to Ajoba and Co. for assistance. The most important thing is make sure you are speaking to the right person. And I wanted to add that. Make sure you are speaking to the right people. Make sure you are speaking to credible business chambers like UKGCC. Like the country from which you're coming from, they have presence here, most of them. Like the GIPC, make sure you are getting all the information you need before you get here and start implementing or rolling out your project. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Kwame. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Panelists, thank you for your insights. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion and have a wonderful rest of day. Over to you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a fantastic discussion. Please stay on stage as we take a group photograph. You'd have to, probably should you stand next to Mark's screen so that... Okay, yes, so stand by the flags. Mark will be on this side, and then...
Posting a problem without being there.
A problem very easily solved.
Thank you.
Perfect. Key points from that conversation are trust, having the right connections, skill sharing, adaptability, and preparation. And when it gets tough, take a deep breath and re-strategize. Next, we have the B2B sessions and the live pitches by the 24-hour team. All this is happening in the Prince Hall. When you step out right ahead, the ushers would show you where the hall is. UK companies in the room can meet the agriculture program lead and industrial transformation lead and Fund 24 over there. So this is the time where you can share with the government agencies what your offer is, what you do, how you do it, and also learn more about the Secretariat and the projects they have shared. Thank you all so much for being wonderful, and let's head over to the Prince Hall right now.